Oh, hello. This is Game Night Indie Plus. Game night for August 2014. We are going to play the Atomic Robo RPG, and this event will follow the Indie Plus community standards. You can learn more by Googling Indie Plus community standards. Just so you know, this game is going to feature some violence, some descriptions of violence. It's mostly going to be over the top, crazy, like gung ho kind of Indiana Jones style action. Not a whole lot of gore or like horror or stuff like that. And there might be some explicit language going on. We might be cursing and insulting each other a little bit, but it should all be in a friendly tone for the most part. So if you're not into that, then you have been warned. I am Aaron Fields. I end up running and playing a lot of games. I help facilitate games in the bar and do a lot of like public games with people new to role-playing games and stuff like that. And why don't we all go around and introduce ourselves, starting with Gabe.
Yeah, hi. I'm Gabe Tannenhouse. This is my first E Plus event. Don't get to do a lot of gaming, but I happen to have some time this weekend. I do have an actual play D&D podcast. It's called the Thrill Squad Cast. It posts every Tuesday, but that's like the 6 hours a month I'm allotted for gaming. This will be my first time playing Fate. I bought these fudge dice like over a year ago, and I've never had a chance to use them until today. So I'm pumped to try it out.
All right, cool. Go ahead, Andrea, and then Dwayne.
I'm Andrea. I'm apparently an Indie Plus regular now. I've been upgraded. They have not asked me to stop coming, so I keep coming back. I've never played Fate either. I've never played Atomic Robo. But I have seen Guardians of the Galaxy, so I'm super duper excited.
I'm Dwayne Padilla. I have not played Atomic Robo. I have limited experience with Fate, and I've been playing role-playing games for a very, very long time. That's it.
Cool. And our glorious game master.
I like that, glorious. I like
Yes.
Alliteration.
You may refer to me as Sir Glorious. I'm Brendan Conway. I will be running the game. I am an assistant developer for Magpie Games. I also help facilitate games along with Aaron for Games in the Bar, and I work with Indie Plus. And I have a little bit of a cold, so I'm probably going to sound kind of gross throughout this, and I apologize for that. Right up front. All right. So we are here to play Atomic Robo. I do want to quickly, and let's actually have this discussion right up front just to make sure. For this, I did up 5 characters, pre-constructed characters, using the Atomic Robo rules. I delved into a fair amount of tinkering and little things. Atomic Robo is really nice because it lets you make characters like that, and it'll be really quick and they're really simple, or it'll let you make characters where you bounce skills around and try and come up with something that's exactly what you want it to be. So for this, I spent a fair amount of time creating these 5 characters. They're based on the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is why we brought up Guardians of the Galaxy. And we can play them, and that'll be perfect and fine. But I want to make sure with everybody that that's cool, that we're all interested in doing that before we decide to do that. Because like I said, if you wanted to make characters, Atomic Robo, one of the nicest things about it, as Fate goes, is it really is like create a character like that. So is everybody cool with the Sentinels of the Stars?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cool with the pre-gens.
Okay,
I
cool.
sure am.
Sweet. All right, now just another thing to say explicitly about our pre-generated characters is that I basically filled in everything for them. I filled in all their aspects. I filled in all their stunts. You are more than welcome to take it as is. However, I think that if you wanted to customize it a little bit, there are a few places where I would recommend you can swap things out. I'm going to call them out ahead of time, and I'm going to call it out throughout, so that if you wanted to change one or two things, you could. For instance, you could drop one or two of the stunts and maybe take them as we play. One of the ways you play Atomic Robo or Fate is like these stunts are nifty things that give you a specialty or an ability to use that makes you a little bit more powerful or a little bit more specialized, a little bit more extraordinary. And you can drop one or two of the stunts as listed maybe, and then take one on the fly as we play to make the character a little bit more to your liking. Also, if you wanted to change a couple of the aspects, one or two of the aspects, very specifically I would call out your Omega aspect. Each of these characters has 5 aspects, one of which is your main concept, 3 of which are based on your modes, basically the kinds of things that you do, and one of which is your Omega aspect, which is your thing that makes you special or unique or different. It could be your problem aspect, but it could also just be a general reference to how you're cool. I actually gave all 5 of them the same Omega aspect, which is Sentinel of the Stars, because I kind of liked the idea that they're all somewhat defined now by the fact that they're part of this team. That said, if you wanted to change your Omega aspect, that would be a perfect one to sort of change it to make it a little bit more custom to what you want. All right, so what I'd like to do right now, then, with some of that in mind, I'd like to just go around and introduce these 5 characters, and then we'll split them up, and people can take the ones they like. I have a little intro paragraph. First of all, actually, let's make sure. Does everybody have access to the document?
Yes.
That I shared? Okay, cool. I'd love to take a moment, and there's a little intro paragraph or 2 paragraphs for each of these characters that I wrote up. I'm not going to attest to their necessary internal consistency, but shut up. So in this case, I'd love to go around. Let's each read one of these intro paragraphs. The intro paragraph you're reading is not necessarily the character that you'll take. And then we can pick them up. I'll go ahead and start. I'll read the very beginning intro area, and then I'll start reading Atomic Badger, and then we'll go around. All right, so the Sentinels of the Stars. Tesladyne's first encounters with extraterrestrial life, not merely strange life or alien life ensconced within the Earth's crust or interdimensional life, but truly life from outer space, were not without problems, including ruptured spleens, large quantities of ochre jelly, and a major miscommunication involving a nun's wimple. It was only a matter of time before Tesladyne devoted some official resources to dealing with space-based research and phenomena, in hopes of retaining a team that would be growing expertise with each encounter. The actual results of the Space Division's efforts have been exceptional, even if the division itself isn't quite what you might expect. Not least because Atomic Robo would never have guessed they would officially request a division name of Sentinels of the Stars. But hey, it's the results that count, right? So first up, we have Atomic Badger. There have been so many experiments to create different kinds of super soldiers over the years. It seems sometimes as if every possible avenue has been tried out. Such is the only reasoning that makes sense to Atomic Badger about his own origins. Some schmuck of a mad scientist trying to create super soldiers by grafting copied cybernetic parts onto lower animals, along with gene therapy, brain-expanding intelligence enhancements, must have had his biggest success with one unfortunate badger. Atomic Badger has no memories of where he came from, why he was made, or what he even really is. It's all supposition, but in the end, he's moved on from that crap. He chose his name long before he ever heard of Atomic Robo, he says, because it sounded cool to him, and that's enough for him. He defines his own identity, up to and including choosing to go into space with the Sentinels instead of remaining a ground-bound test subject for Tesladyne. Alright, Andrea, would you like to do Annihilator Arcrix?
Sure. Annihilator Arcrix is a bit of an odd case. It seems like he might be an honest-to-goodness alien, but some tests have revealed human DNA and structures within him that scientists have doubts. Perhaps he's just heavily modified, changed by alien scientists, or even some of the more savvy Earthbound sort. To Arcrix, though, all those studies are unimportant. He is the Annihilator, and that is all that matters. Arcrix is, put mildly, a coldly maniacal killing machine, more than capable of rivaling even Jenkins in pure potential for mayhem. He claims his only purpose in life is to destroy someone or something called the Nose, or Nos, though only he and Kagape know what those are at this point, and any mention of the nose or nos. Correct me, Brendan. Help me.
So I will say that was me being a little too clever for my own good. You know how like Drax's thing is like now he's going to kill Thanos? I made it the nose.
The nose. I had the wrong pronunciation both times. Okay, sorry. Any mention of the nos? I can't even say it.
Say it however
enough.
you want.
I will. Thank you. Seems more than enough to drive him to a cold rage, at which point you'll need luck to survive, let alone to get more details out of him. Arcrix was partially put on the Sentinels team to get him off Earth, where he might do less damage.
All right, awesome. Dwayne, would you like to read Quirt?
Sure. Quirt. Quirt is one of the strangest of the Sentinels, and that's saying something. Technically, Quirt is a conglomeration of nanites that have gained a network consciousness and have created for themselves a coherent physical form by latching onto individual molecules of water and relying on polar bonds. Put another way, Quirt is an intelligent water elemental, but most folks at Treslodyne get mad if you describe them like that. Quirt is an accident, a creature not intended to exist. The nanites and their networking software was designed for an entirely different purpose. And yet, Quirt formed themselves together and now does exist, and Treslodyne is left in the awkward position of trying to determine how best to take care of a brand new life form. Their answer? Give to Quirt their own individuality. Let them make their own decisions. Even if they are, for some reason, attached to that stupid cybernetic badger and want to go to space with the rodent.
Awesome. Gabe, would you like to do Kagape?
Sure, and thank you for saying his name so I don't have to guess at the pronunciation. Kagape is the most lethal lady in the solar system, if not over a wider swath of space. She's the product of a Majestic 12 super soldier program that had happily used some kind of technology recovered from the Nos to adapt her, change her, and improve her. She has a connection to the Nos now, something that simultaneously thrills and empowers her and disgusts her. Either way, her abilities left her uniquely suited to acting as an assassin, the likes of which Earth had only seen maybe one time before in some guy named Jenkins. And that was at the beginning of her career. She's only gotten better. She eventually left Majestic 12 when they were talking about modifying her more, particularly to ensure her obedience was some kind of lobotomization. She was able to find a place for herself with Treslodyne, and specifically with the Sentinels of the Stars, hoping that such a position would eventually put her in direct contact with the Nos.
Awesome. And finally, Aaron, would you like to do Jason Penn?
Okay. Jason Penn is an Earth kid, through and through, but he's always dreamed of the stars. To the point where he became an astrophysicist, actually, although he found that learning about the stars and space had the opposite effect of what he'd always hoped. Instead of learning that space was a magical and wonderful place, he found that it could be quantified, and the most exciting questions were about different kinds of particles and the like. He was still good at his job and interested, but a bit childishly disappointed. That is, until Treslodyne's first run-in with true alien intelligences, whom he proceeded to defeat, through guile, charm, and stupid mammal trickery, and lots of luck. And the aliens, not at all sore losers, passed on to him one of their honorific titles, which translated roughly to Space Prince. After that, the Sentinels of the Stars were formed, and Space Prince joined the division faster than light speed. Although no one actually calls him Space Prince, he's found that wonder and magic he was looking for as a kid.
All right.
Cool.
So we have, taking it through again from the top, we have Atomic Badger, we have Annihilator Arcrix, we have Quirt the Water Elemental, we have Kagape, the most lethal lady in the solar system, and we have Jason Penn, Space Prince. So, does anything call out to anybody? And I want to be clear here, too, like, if you want to change certain elements of the background, it's not as if that needs to be set in stone. If you want to change genders, it's not as if that needs to be set in stone at all. A lot of this is mutable to your own taste. So what do you think?
Annihilator Arcrix kind of jumps out at me.
Sure. All right, so Gabe wants Annihilator Arcrix. Is that cool with everybody?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. What else?
I think I'll just play him as is for now.
Cool. That sounds great.
If a change jumps out at me, we're kind of okay to hot swap.
call it out if you wanted to do it. Like, for instance, it's a good idea to maybe, if you want to have a slot for a stunt, pick one of these stunts that appeals to you the least and just like knock it out right now, and that way you can take one later.
Okay.
If no one else wants it, I'll play the gun-toting badger.
Andrea wants Atomic Badger.
Cool.
Play Kagape if nobody else wants.
All right, Dwayne wants Kagape.
Oh man, I was hoping somebody else would make the choice easy for me, but now I don't
Yeah,
know.
now you've got Quirt and Jason Penn.
Oh man, that was so good. We gotta do Quirt. Screw the human.
Screw the human.
Water elemental.
Screw Jason Penn. And Aaron's going to play Quirt.
With that Star Prince.
All right. Cool. So everybody has your character then. Again, if you wanted right now, like, you could knock out things that don't appeal, but it's a good idea to pick some of those things right this second and knock them out just to create an open slot right now. So I'm looking at Atomic Badger right now. And for instance, you've got your concept aspect, which refers to basically what you are. You've got your 3 mode aspects, which again refer to things you do. You've got your Omega aspect, which for everybody is Sentinel of the Stars. That's a good aspect. If you want an aspect to really use to define your character or to call in as we play, the Omega aspect, Sentinel of the Stars, is a good one to knock out. Don't touch your skills. It's too much effort. Just leave your skills the way that they are right now. And your stunts... If it says Mega Stunt, I recommend generally leaving that. Mega Stunts are somewhat more powerful stunts. In Fate, you'll have stunts, generally speaking, and everybody will have a certain number of stunts, and your stunts give you, like, little rules exceptions, or, like, you get a +2 when you do this, or you can use this skill instead of that skill when you attack someone, or something like that. Like, that's the kind of thing that stunts do. Mega Stunts are things, and they're more oomphy. They're weirder, and you need a specific like aspect or mode to enable you to take appropriate mega stunts, but they give you potentially greater benefits. So I mean, I'll call out as a mega stunt, Atomic Badger has a big honkin' gun, which is a mega stunt. And it effectively gives Atomic Badger 3 benefits, so that one stunt counts as 3 whole stunts in a single slot. You have 5 stunt slots, but Atomic Badger squeezed 3 benefits into a single slot, at the cost that I, the GM, am going to get a whole bunch more fate points to use against you during the game. So a lot of these characters have that sort of trade-off, and I highly recommend if you want to have room to create your own stunt as we go, knock out a regular stunt and not a mega stunt, because the mega stunts are the ones that are, again, squidgier or harder to deal with in the moment. Go with the regular stunts. If it says 2 benefits, for instance, that's a mega stunt. Leave that alone. If it says 3 benefits, that's a mega stunt. Leave that alone. Okay, and I mean, otherwise, we can sort of get going. I will explain the basics of Fate right this second, so that hopefully that will give you an idea of how this is going to work. Basically, Fate is a game in which you would, when you do something, when you're overcoming an obstacle, or you're doing something sort of chancy, the basic way it works is you would roll 4 Fate dice. A Fate die is a 6-sided die. It has 2 pluses, 2 blank sides, and 2 minuses. If you have a Fate dice with you, I'm more than happy if you want to roll them right there. If you want to just use the Dice Stream app, yes, which Andrea just added. Thank you, Andrea. The Dice Stream app will actually let you roll Fate dice. It's that big plus. So you would always roll 4 Fate dice. So for instance, I just rolled 4 Fate dice. I got a plus, a blank, a minus, and a plus. Each plus is basically +1, each minus is basically -1, each blank is basically nothing. So overall, my roll gives me a +1. The minus and the plus cancel out. I have an extra plus. I have +1. I would add that to whatever my skill is, and then that's my total result. So if my skill was combat +5, I would have a total result of a 6, of a +6. And you'd be comparing that to some other number to see what actually happens, whether I hit the enemy or whether I race past the explosion or whatever. The other important thing, the key thing to know, is about fate points and aspects. So in Fate, you have, go figure, fate points. Each fate point you can spend to invoke an aspect. When you invoke an aspect, basically you just explain how that aspect plays into it, what that aspect is doing for you, and you can get a +2 on a roll. I'm pulling this up to make absolutely sure I call out exactly the things that you want to know. Boo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-boo. Aspects in action. So yeah, you can invoke an aspect for a +2 to a roll when it's appropriate, when it applies, and that costs you 1 fate point. You can re-roll your dice. That costs you 1 fate point, and again, the aspect needs to apply. You need an aspect to call in. Or you can sort of throw something in the way of your opponent by spending a fate point and creating a +2 obstacle. That means your opponent is going to have to get over a +2 difficulty. The other thing aspects do is they let you compel the aspects. So when you get an aspect compelled, it's basically causing a problem for you. And you'll get a fate point. You will receive a fate point in that case instead of spending one. So whoever's getting compelled, when you get compelled, you can either take the fate point or you can pay a fate point to avoid the problem, to avoid the situation. But most of the time you probably just want to take the fate point because fate points make you awesome. And also complications make things awesome. If you want to compel another character, it costs a fate point to propose the complication. Okay, so you can actually compel other people for their shit, but it's going to cost you a fate point to do that. And the basic form of compels is either like, you have an aspect of blank in blank situation, so it makes sense that you decide to blank. This goes wrong when blank happens. That's a decision-based compel, or an event-based compel. You are in blank situation and have an aspect of blank, so it makes sense that, unfortunately, blank would happen to you. Damn your luck.
So,
yeah.
Something I just want to point out about these compels and about Fate in general is that in a lot of games you are playing as a character and you only do things that make sense for them or that are good for them. You try to make good decisions. But in Fate, there's a sense of sometimes you're playing for the character and sometimes you're playing to make the character's life more complicated, right? So you are kind of authoring some of the challenges here. And so when I compel one of your aspects and say, oh, this horrible thing is going to happen to you, normally if you were like pulling for that character, you'd be like, oh, never, I don't ever want that to happen, right? But in this game, you're encouraged to like go along with it and complicate your life. And similarly, some of the things that happen are not like decisions that you have to make necessarily, or you're going to make this wrong decision. It's like this thing completely out of your control is going to happen now, right? Like if you have an aspect that says, you have an enemy, like this mortal enemy or whatever. I can compel that and say, oh, this mortal enemy has tracked you down and he's going to show up right now, right? And so even though that has nothing, your character has no control over that, but you as a player get to decide, yes, I'll let that happen, or no, I won't let that happen. So there's kind of an author level thing going on.
Yep, Aaron's got it exactly right. You sort of want these compels even though it might be problematic for you and it might not feel instantaneously natural, but it's awesome to have problems caused. It's awesome for Atomic Badger to be like, I'm compelling Blam murdered you because I've murdered people and they are not happy.
Yeah.
And they're coming.
The other thing, another way to think of it is even if you don't like what you don't like all the bad stuff that's happening when you're being compelled, but it gives you fate points, and later on you can spend those fate points for +2s and to use your awesome aspects and stuff, and you can. It's like something complicated happens now, but later on you get to be awesome and overcome stuff. So even for your character, it's good to be compelled in that sense.
Yes, it is something that you definitely want. Okay. So the final thing I quickly just want to call out, because I think this is the final most important part before we maybe start getting into it a little bit, is for your skills. There are 4 basic things you can do with your skills. There's overcome obstacle, create advantage, attack, and defend. Okay. Overcome obstacle is this overarching term that covers any time that you would need to, overcome an obstacle. It would be like, overcome an obstacle, very simplistic form would be using athletics to climb over a wall. You are literally overcoming an obstacle. However, There's also overcoming obstacles, like if it's just an obstacle, get into the room because you need the correct papers and you're using context to overcome that obstacle. It's a general idea of getting past some kind of challenge or some kind of hindrance. Creating an advantage is you creating an aspect to give yourself a boost, to give yourself some sort of leg up. So creating an advantage could actually be lighting a fire. And you light a fire, and then that creates the aspect on fire. And now you can use that aspect to get an extra bonus as you're going through, as long as you use that fire to your advantage. So some of these skills, you might call out in the moment, like, oh, I use my gun to knock over all those boxes behind him, and the boxes are going to fall on him. And that might be creating an aspect of, like, falling boxes or something. There's attack, which is straight up attempting to inflict harm on someone and take him out. And there's defend, which is straight up preventing harm from being inflicted to you. Not every skill can be used for every single function. They all have their own sort of list of things that they can do. So I'm not necessarily going to worry about going through each and every single skill to, like, say what all it can do. I think a lot of it follows what you might expect. So for instance, like, provoke can actually be used to overcome an obstacle by scaring someone into getting what you want. It can also be used to create an advantage by threatening people and making them scared. But it can also be used to attack by, like, inflicting mental stress, hurting somebody's mental state. Can't really be used to defend. You can't provoke someone and thereby save yourself. So a lot of this follows a little bit of, like, common sense and, like, where it actually would just logically fit in. As we go, I mean, if you have questions about a particular skill, I'll be happy to answer. I'm not going to worry about going through every single skill, like I said. Some of you have slightly odd skills. If they're brand new, they are detailed in that document. Otherwise, they're in the book somewhere. Like, for instance, Atomic Badger has Tooth and Claw, because Atomic Badger has fangs and claws, which can do something a little bit different than just plain combat. But, for the most part, again, your skills will probably follow sort of common sense, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Okay, so does anybody want to pull back your Omega aspect right now?
I'll pull mine.
Cool. Okay. So that means that right now you are playing, I'm trying to make sure, you're playing Kagape, right?
Arcrix.
Oh, sorry, you're playing Arcrix. Apologies. So Arcrix, you're pulling the Omega. So to tell you a little bit what that would actually mean right now, you're going to start the game with a number of fate points equal to the number of aspects you have. So you're going to start actually with one fewer fate point. But that's fine. That's not a problem, because the instant you choose a new aspect, the instant you fill that in, you get a fate point for it. Okay, so and that's like a big signal, right? It's a big deal. You're telling us this important thing about yourself, and you get a fate point. So in this case, you're going to start with 4 fate points because you only have 4 aspects, but the instant you take a new Omega aspect, you're going to get a 5th.
Got it.
Okay.
So, can you explain the Omega aspect? Like, what is it representing?
Totally. The Omega aspect is actually, in many ways, a more open aspect. It's fairly, I don't want to say ill-defined, but open to interpretation, because the idea is supposed to be this is you putting a twist on the character. This is the actual description of Omega aspect. It can be defined however you want. It might speak to a quirk, interest, or area of expertise not addressed by the other aspects. If the character has some ongoing problematic issue, or driving motivation, such as a notorious reputation, a thirst for revenge, an insatiable curiosity, a recurring nemesis, or the like, this is a good place for it. Try to come up with an Omega aspect that'll give the GM something to grab onto when it comes time to putting your character in the spotlight. Okay? So this is very much, since the other aspects, one of them is the high concept, that's just what you are. The other 3 are heavily tied into your actual modes, so they need to be tied into, like, action, or science, or beast, or whatever. This is the one that would let you do whatever little important detail you want to add on to the rest of the character. And I mean, if you leave it as Sentinel of the Stars, part of what you're telling me is that it is important to you, it is important to your character that they are a Sentinel of the Stars, that this affiliation, this team that you're a part of matters to them. So what do you think? Does anybody else want to pull back Sentinel of the Stars, or we're all good?
I'll pull it back.
Okay. You were playing Kagape, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, and Aaron and Andrea, you're fine leaving Quirt and Atomic Badger?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then, Aaron and Andrea, you start with 5 fate points each. If you open up the Dice Stream app, it'll actually let you have this counter in the upper right-hand corner, which I highly recommend using to keep track of your fate points. So right now, you two start with 5 fate points, and Gabe and Dwayne, Arcrix and Kagape, you start with 4 fate points, and you'll get a free fate point the instant you assign a new Omega aspect. Now, I actually start with a number of fate points per scene equal to the number of players that I can spend to have like NPCs do stuff. So I start with 4 fate points. However, I also get like a bank of fate points. So these 4 fate points I have per scene, they refresh, they come back. But this bank of fate points I have is built up because you guys have a whole bunch of extra shit. So because you people have a whole bunch of extra shit, I'm going to go ahead and get, from Atomic Badger, I get 3. 1, 2, 3. From Annihilator Arcrix, I get, let's see here, where'd it go? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. From Quirt, I get 2. 1, 2. And from Kagape, I get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yay! So that means I have a little bank of 14 extra fate points to make your lives miserable. That's basically what that's about. What? What? No, that's not true at all. Excuse me. Okay. I'm just making sure of something quickly. Do.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that, as far as that goes, I'm using this to invoke NPCs and PCs aspect and to refuse compels, and that's per scene. However, I can just compel you from like an unlimited slush fund, so there's no limit to the amount of compels you guys can invoke on yourself and the amount of compels I can give you. All right, cool. So let's get rolling.
Hey, real quick question.
No.
You keep talking about.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You keep talking about modes?
Yes.
Is that something we need to know?
I'll tell you what modes are. I don't actually think at this point you do. Modes are most important for character creation, and this is valuable just to know about how Atomic Robo does things, but at this point the characters are created. It's not as critical that you actually know for right this second. So basically, when you create your characters in Atomic Robo, you have 3 modes. Each of them comes with like a batch of skills. And then you rank those 3 modes: good, fair, or average. Good is +3, fair is +2, average is +1. You get every single skill in that like mode, in that batch, at that rank. So you get every single, so if I'm looking at Atomic Badger, you have action as good, so you have every single action skill at +3. If they're ever doubled, if you have a skill in 2 different modes, you would take it to the highest rank you have, and then you would step it up 1. So basically, it's a very simple way of just saying these are the things you do. This is kind of what you are. It's how we determined your skills, and then depending upon the exact modes you have, you'll have a little bit more fluidity in like bumping more skills up, changing skills around, like increasing skills, and that's why you'll see in your skill list a lot of them are identified as specialized, focused, or trained. Trained means the skill is at the level of the mode. Trained means it is the equivalent of that. So if you had a +3 skill from your good +3 mode, then it's trained. You only have it at the level of the mode. If you have a skill focused, it's 1 higher than the level of the mode, and if you have a skill specialized, it's 2 higher than the level of the mode. The only other thing to know here, actually, and I will call this out, if you have science as a mode, this is worth looking at. So if you look at your good mode aspect, your fair mode aspect, your average mode aspect, the mode is the thing in parentheses. If you have science as a mode, right, that actually means you have every single science skill possible at that level. Now, certain special things might be called out. I gave Atomic Badger explosives science at +4 because Atomic Badger knows about explosives. I gave Atomic Badger gunsmithing science at +4 because that's sort of Atomic Badger's bag. However, every other science you have, every other science is at that mode level. So, for instance, Atomic Badger, who has science at fair, which means +2, Atomic Badger has quantum physics +2, regular physics +2, biology +2, geophysics +2, every single science at +2. Okay? So if anybody has science as your thing. Now, I think actually Atomic Badger and Jason Penn were the two who had science. I don't think the rest of you are terribly big on science.
No, I don't think my guy has science.
Yeah, I wouldn't think Arcrix would have science. Yeah, that's right. Because Arcrix has Annihilator, Action, and Soldier. Yeah, that's right. Oh, dear. Yeah, all right. So in terms of modes, like, it's useful information, but it is not
Okay.
really that critical right this second anymore. It's most useful if we were to be creating characters from scratch, basically. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, cool. So let's get going. The camera opens up on the tableau of space with the blue dome of Earth beneath us and the speckled blackness of space above. And it pans up slightly as we see one of these white dots moving faster and faster, and then it gets a trail behind it, and it comes hurtling down towards Earth, where it then disappears into that blue dome. And the camera zooms out, and we see that we were looking at a screen on the wall. And then we zoom out even more, and we see that there's a table in this room, and it's oriented towards the screen, and sitting at the 4 chairs around the table are our 4 heroes: Atomic Badger, Arcrix the Annihilator, Kagape, and Quart, who of course may not be sitting. A voice comes on over the speakers and says, that was a day ago. At first, our scanners picked it up and thought it was just another piece of space debris and would likely burn up in atmosphere, but surprisingly, despite its small mass, it actually successfully made it to Earthfall. And upon doing so, we found that it began to broadcast a radio signal. There's a little click. And then this radio signal comes on, and it says, "We are the Asterians. We come to take your planet. Prepare yourselves. Prepare yourselves." And then it repeats ad infinitum. And the voice on the speaker says, "It's a little cliche, a little silly, and it uses standard radio signals, so we're not really 100% sure what to make of this. But we at Tesladyne really do believe in the division of labor, and that basically means this is your problem. They claim to be aliens, so you're the one who's dealing with it."
So you want us to blow them up?
Well, I mean, Tesladyne does not actually have a policy in favor of hostile action towards aliens upon first contact, Mr. Badger. However, we would appreciate you investigating this affair and determining what is going on. For instance, if this is actual extraterrestrials or some kind of silly prank. We've been containing the signal so far, and we've made sure it hasn't been picked up anywhere. So at the moment, the world remains uninformed. You'll have a bit of leeway to investigate. But the fact of the matter is that this is, well, if aliens are coming, we would like to be prepared.
So I'm going to look up from polishing the Annihilax, and I'm going to say, so what are we waiting for? Let's go investigate.
Yeah, how far are we going? Where did this thing come down?
It came down into the Arctic tundra of Russia.
Oh.
So, and just to say this too, the Sentinels in my headcanon that I have made up, the Sentinels have an orbital base that I called the Oreo, and it looks like 3 rings which spin to create artificial gravity inside the rings. And so that's where you are right now. You're in the space base, the Oreo.
How are we normally paid? I mean,
I don't know. How are you normally paid?
I would say, would this be the normal contract?
I pretty sure we're on a salary.
Yes,
That's how these
I
things
think
usually-
that's.
I have to
that's
get a
right.
bonus for per kill. That's built in the contract.
I like that Kagape's like, I really need all this money for reasons unclear.
Because people do not respect you unless you are worth something.
Oh,
Unless they-
nice. Nice. Yes,
They
yes.
respect you if you've got a big enough gun.
And that's Atomic Badger. we will be giving you your standard fees, yes, yes, as salaried employees of Tesladyne and whatever. Isn't this beyond payment at this point? Aliens might be coming. Save the Earth. Triggering any feelings here?
Yeah,
Quirt,
but we
I
go
am.
through this every week.
And Quirt splooshes onto the floor and under the door. Heading to the spaceship or the drop pod or whatever the heck.
Sure. Well, what do you guys have? Do you think? Do you have drop pods?
I like drop pods.
I think
It
yeah,
sounds
for
dangerous.
when we need to get somewhere quick, rapid deployment
Yeah.
to Earth.
Fire is a drop pod.
I picture my pod landing a little harder than the rest of you guys.
Boom! Right
So
into the
burrowed. Yeah,
Stop
snow.
eating all those steaks.
they're delicious.
So your team is going to drop down from the Oreo onto the surface of the planet near the fallen probe, right?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, so one by one, your pods slam into the snowy ground. You know, there's the sizzle as like the heat from the pod coming down melts the snow, and the pod opens up, and each of you steps out one by one. You know, Arcrix from his enormous pod, Atomic Badger from his tiny little pod.
Kagape does like this roll out of the pod with their sword held ready to cut anything in pieces. Just
Yeah. Nice. You roll out of the pod, and there's a deer in the distance who's just staring at you.
I just nod at it slowly.
Do we need to be concerned about the fact Quirt is made of water?
By which you mean, will he freeze?
Yes.
No,
Well-
the nanites keep me fluid.
There
Although
you
I
go.
can freeze if I want.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that's an issue that might come up in a compel.
Oh no.
Indeed.
All right, so yeah, you're landed, and the pod is in relatively close distance. And by the time you get there, it's been cordoned off. Nobody's approached it yet. Some Tesladyne folks have arrived with their land vehicles. You see the four of you coming up, and the leading Tesladyne guy is like, "What the hell?"
We do like the slow action walk.
The saunter, I'm sauntering up and
Nice. So he says, "I'm sorry. What? Who are you?"
We're the Sentinel of the Stars. Don't you recognize us?
Quirt. And I'm gonna gesture to the rest of you guys who are holding giant weapons of one kind or another, and I'm gonna indicate you should stay behind, and I'll do the first approach here so we don't freak him out too bad. But you guys can be ready, if anything comes out of this pod.
Badger's nose twitches in irritation.
Grr.
So Quirt will, kind of shrink down a little bit
Yeah.
to seem less threatening, and just kind of roll over to, very slowly approaching.
Yeah.
Maybe two appendages held up.
Sure. Sure.
And what the heck does this thing look like, man?
So the pod itself, yeah. It looks like sort of like a flower with the petals coming out, so they make this hemisphere, but the petals each are sort of triangular and curved inward, and they end in a point. So it came down with those points in the ground, and it looks almost as if it's actually been slowly rising. So the bulb inside, so it's been like this, and there's a little bulb right in here, which is pulsing faintly with green light.
And does it look big enough to contain like a creature or something, possibly? Or is it far too small to really?
Well, considering the sheer variety of life in the cosmos.
It's true. Just kind of how, what is it, like badger size or
yeah,
size?
It's a little larger than badger size.
Okay.
That's an official standard of measurement.
Yes, it's an official standard measurement.
Yeah.
If you had science, I totally could buy you using science to like observe it, try and figure out xenobiology. Could something be inside it? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to get like the
general gist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the god. Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to basically roll up to it, and I'll just I'll be very still for a few moments and see if it reacts at all to my presence. And after a little while, I'll go up and just touch the side of it and see if there's any kind of reaction going on.
Sure. Yeah. So as you get closer, the pulsing starts a little bit more rapidly. And then as you extend a hand and touch it, actually, yeah. I'm trying to think what I would be compelling. I kind of want to compel what the hell, in the sense of like weird shit happens with what you are, because that's your water elemental aspect.
It's true.
This is like you are weird and make no sense. So you touch it. I'm going to compel that. I'm going to give you one fate point. And what happens is you instantly can detect like nanites from within you attached to your water cloud actually being drawn out of you into the bulb. And so to everybody else, it looks like Quart touches it, and the water of Quart starts flowing into the bulb, which starts expanding until suddenly it like drips out something onto the ground, which like squirms for a second in the snow, so you can barely make it out, and then it gets little legs, and then it leaps onto Quart.
Question, real quick. So
yeah.
Since I was compelled, I could.
You could
compel by paying a fate point instead.
You could, yeah.
That would basically mean I get away.
It would mean you would feel like as soon as the nanites were getting drawn out of you and that water was getting drawn out of you, you like pulled your hand back. Okay. Or appendage.
Cool. I'll go with it. I'll go with it though. I just want to be clear. So
yes.
I didn't know it could do that.
Dude, Quart's half baby.
Quart is making babies.
Quart is making babies.
As far as I know, that's something Quart does.
Maybe we should give him some privacy.
Is it
this empathy skill, which I have pretty high? What is that? Could that be used, for example, to figure out what this thing is trying to do with my nanites?
What skill?
Empathy.
Empathy. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Like, what's its intention here? This kind of deal.
Yeah, I could see that. Read a person's emotional state and or get a general sense of who they are. This presumes you have some kind of interpersonal contact with them. So yeah, this is going to be like you discovering one of its aspects or creating an aspect on it, basically.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is that possible? I don't know
go ahead.
What kind of connection I have, but I have some kind of connection apparently. So Dice Stream isn't working for me, so I'm just going to roll in real life.
Go ahead.
And I have a +2 on the dice, plus my 4 empathy is 6 total. So that's
wow, I rolled minus. So so to be clear, actually, there are several tiers of success. there's failure, or not failure. There's like rolling less than the other person or the target, which generally means you either fail or you succeed, but with a very high cost. There's tying, which means you succeed, but with a minor cost. There's getting over it, which means you succeed. And then there's getting over it by 3 or more, which means you succeed with style. You get some additional benefit out of it. So right now, Quart's looking at like a 6, and I'm looking at a -2.
So I succeeded by more than 3 for sure.
Excuse me. So that probably means that you, you're going to succeed with style. I think that's probably about right. And you wanted to figure out its aspect.
Yeah. So one thing that happens, aspects can be used by spending fate points to get +2 on future rolls.
Yep.
And when you either create an aspect or you discover an aspect that already existed, generally you get a free
Invoke.
one free invoke. So you get one time you can use that without spending the fate point for +2 or reroll.
Mm-hmm.
And when you succeed with style, then you actually get 2 free invokes, I believe is the usual thing.
That is. So you get 2
What,
free invokes.
What aspect do I know about these guys now?
I have a rules question.
Hit it.
Can other characters invoke the aspect he's creating right now?
Indeed.
You can, but you would have to. Well, no, you can pass off free invokes, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody on the team can use
Okay.
it.
Can use those free invokes. And I mean, even if there were no free invokes, as long as you know about it and can actually use it, then you can spend a fate point to invoke it.
Okay.
That's right.
So would I have to know about it like in game?
Yes.
Okay.
Like you'd have to have some idea. If Court tells you that, it's sort of. You have to have some notion that it exists. Like, if this was something obvious, like it's missing an arm, you can obviously take advantage of that. Right now, Court would probably have to tell you because it doesn't really make sense that you guys would know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so this thing is using my nanites somehow, pulling out the water, and creating a thing, and what's the aspect?
I'm going to give it the aspect, and you have 2 free tags of consumptive programming. So, act like this is you. I mean, you're studying it, but you have its nanites are inside of it. Or sorry, your nanites are inside of it, and you're like trying to figure out from within almost what it's up to. And what you pick up on is that there's very little here in the manner of intelligence. There's very little here in the manner of actual intent, but you pick up entirely upon this overwhelming consumptive programming that it exists currently to simply take in resources and to then bring them back to the bulb for some purpose. And it's relatively simple in that nature. So yeah, so this thing, like, as soon as you pick this up, right, is when it leaps on you. And it's actually going to start, like, it sends out a little proboscis into you, and it's going to start trying to suck out your being as more of them start dripping out of the bulb.
I'm going to start running towards him.
So I as this thing pounces on me, I'm going to call out across the snow back to the the perimeter line.
Yeah.
It eats. It eats.
Oh, that's
And
quite for you.
that's the signal.
That's the signal for it. Come kill everything.
Done and done.
Yeah. Okay, that's perfect. Cool. So I think this is going to be a conflict now, right?
So well, that went about as well as could be expected.
Yeah.
Okay. So the scene. Right now we've got in Fate. When you get into conflict, it's important just to have a general idea of zones, and it often helps if we had actual paper. I would probably draw a quick picture and be like, "These are the zones that we're looking at." Excuse me. Ugh. At the moment, I'll actually go ahead and do that on this index card I have conveniently right in front of me. Okay.
I can't actually see your camera again, Brendan, so
Oh,
you'll
no.
have to just...
Yeah,
I'll
I
have
can.
to use my imagination.
Can you see me now?
No.
Darn it. That's super annoying.
You can do theater of the mind.
rocket
Sure.
old school.
All right, so basically, in terms of the actual what we're looking at, the situation, we've got the crater with the bulb thing right in the middle of it. You can see me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
There we go.
Good.
You can see that
Um,
terrible roll of yours.
You've got basically. Can you sort of see this?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've got something like that. So like that's the bulb thing, and then that circle is the crater. That vaguely octagonal thing is the cordon, the Tesladyne cordon. And so Quart is right in there, right next to the bulb thing. And where were the rest of you? Did you wait outside the cordon? Or inside?
Yeah, I think so. Because we waited where he left us.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
Everybody,
think that's where he left us.
All right, so he left you outside the cordon so that nothing weird would happen where Tesladyne would be like, oh, you're all very heavily armed alien-looking people. I'm not sure I want to let you in. Because even though I was told the Sentinels are coming, wasn't told what they were. All right.
We really need to get badges or something, you guys.
You really need to get badges. So let's figure out our turn order. So right now this is going to be an action scene. Okay, yeah. This is to determine who goes first, and in this case, what you actually do is, if you have a mode that makes sense, you can roll plus that mode, but otherwise, generally, it'll be roll plus action. Roll plus action makes the most sense because it's an action scene. To determine who goes in what order. Generally speaking, a mode with athletics or notice is appropriate for physical conflicts. Empathy or will is good for mental conflicts. And you're going to take turns acting. And after we determine the order. So, boop. If everybody would like to go ahead and roll 4 fate dice, and this is plus your action mode. So actually, in this case, this is going to be like plus the mode itself and what that mode is ranked. So if your action mode is at good, then your action mode would be +3. And you'd be rolling +3.
and average is +1.
Yes, average is +1.
Bears +2. Okay.
Fair is +2, good is +3.
Kagape has lightning reflexes, so I believe she acts first in a conflict.
Ah, right, because she always acts first, right? That's her bag.
I rolled a plus and a minus. So that cancels out my whole roll. My action is fair, so I have +2.
All right. So we have Kagape goes first.
I'm at +1.
Arcrix for a 2. Squirt for a 1. Badger, what'd you get?
4.
Badger with a 4. And then the Robos. I'll go ahead and roll for them. All right, so the Robos have a 1. Boop. Okay. We're doing it that way, yeah. Okay. So the way that this is actually going to work is that was all moot in some ways, because Kagape gets to go first no matter what. In this case, whoever goes first, the first person, player or GM to go, picks which character acts next, whether PC or NPC. Whoever controls that character picks the next to act, and so on. Character who's already acted can't act again until everyone else is gone. When everyone has acted, that marks the end of the round, and the last character to have acted picks the first character of the next round. This is important because there's a strategic thing going on here, where if you make it so that I go last in the round, I'm just going to pick myself to go first, and I'm basically going to get to act twice in a row. So keep that in mind strategically as you're figuring out how to do this. Okay. So, yeah.
So, how big is it now?
The bulb?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the bulb now is much bigger. I'd say the bulb now is about the size, like it's grown up to the size of like a person, a full adult human being who's curled up in the sort of fetal position. But it's squirting out more of these robots. They're dripping down onto the ground directly beneath it. Excuse me. All right, so Kagape, you're first. What are you doing, Kagape?
Can I just assign somebody else to go first? Because I think the big gun is useful right now.
Well, you can always go and then tell Quirt to go first. Or tell Quirt who's right there to go. Or you could go and then tell Badger to go. So, I mean, you go ahead and do whatever you think is right now. Or if you wanted, I think you can probably pass. See me.
But if you pass, you sacrifice your turn.
I think if you pass, I mean, I don't actually see anything about it, but I'm just going to call it right now. If you pass, you can pass, but then that means that somebody else has to call on you during the round, right? So, like, if Kagape passed, you'll still get to go in the round, but you'll get to call, somebody else will call you later.
Yeah, that's fine.
I feel like since Quirt is right there in the middle of it, it's good that everything is going to be based off what Quirt does, so I'll let Quirt go first.
Okay.
Cool.
So go ahead, Quirt. What are you going to do?
Let's see. Well, it's using. Man.
There we go. That's what I wanted.
All right. I'm gonna try to. What is this? Fighting unarmed. So is it combat as the usual, like smashy smash stuff, or shooty shoot skill?
Yes, combat. Combat is to beat the shit out of something.
Okay. Cool.
Here, I'm pulling up combat.
Yeah.
Combat
All right.
skill deals in all manner of violence, unarmed or armed, close quarters, or ranged.
Cool. Well, I'm unarmed, but I'm gonna smashy smash some robots, and I'm actually Quirt like throws off these robots, and then sort of tries to suck in his all his nanites back in through his water, through the these like streams of water that he's pulling to himself.
So are you actually using shapeshifter?
Yeah, let's do that. And this, but I'm doing it just to attack, like. To,
Right, and I think you can use shapeshifting to. Oh no, you can't use shapeshifting to attack. Okay. You can use shapeshifting to overcome or create advantage.
Yeah. So how I'm gonna do it is I'm just gonna use combat to like push him and smash him and stuff, and then I
Try
might
and
use
pull
an
you
aspect
something.
to. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. Use an aspect. Cool. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I got 0 on the dice, so total of 4 for me. How are they defending?
They're going to defend with combat.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so combat can be used to counter hand-to-hand attacks in a physical conflict. It can't be used to defend against ranged attacks. You use athletics for that. So, I mean, so this is like the first robot, right? The one that's leaping on top of you that you're striking at, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So it will go ahead and roll to. It's swinging around you, like as you're trying to smash it. It's like crawling all over you and sticking its proboscis in you to try and like distract you with this, like as it sucks in pieces of you all over. Boom!
Oh no.
That makes up for my -3. All right, so that's going to be. What did you roll, Quirt?
So I have a total of 4.
All right, so it has a total of 4 as well.
Ooh, a tie. Okay. Which means that in the case of an attack action, what does tying mean? I can't remember.
So on a tie, you're going to get a boost. It means if you had a weapon, actually, if you were hitting it with any kind of weapon, weapons give you additional, like, you'll deal additional stress. If you don't have a weapon, which you do actually, right? You have hulking, weapon 2, and fighting unarmed, right?
Oh, right. That's right.
Which
So
you are.
right now, I'll just do the base level of damage, and I'll get a boost on top of that?
No. You do not get the boost if you
okay.
actually hit them.
One of
Basically, the
Gotcha.
boost. I mean, it's a simple way to think of this is if you would get nothing from the attack roll because the attack roll will just even out to nothing, then you get a boost. And a boost is an aspect, but it's a one-use only aspect. You use it once and it's gone.
Right.
And you get a free tag on it, but it's it's gone instantly thereafter.
Right.
But instead of a boost, you get to deal you get
So
2
boost-
harm for
right.
your hulking.
Consolation prize if you don't do harm.
Consolation, yes, exactly.
Okay. And now if whatever I succeed by, I do that as extra damage, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So if you succeeded +2, and then you had weapon 2, you would actually be dealing 4 shifts of stress.
Sweet. So I'm going to use my aspect of what the hell, my water elemental aspect.
Sure.
Not only am I smashing and throwing them and tossing them apart, but I'm pulling in my nanites and stuff out of their bodies that they were created with. So I'm going to do some extra harm that way, spending my fate point. Is that
You
cool?
don't have to do that if you want. I'm just treating this little robot is basically just a nameless NPC, an average
okay.
+1 nameless NPC, so it just has 1 stress box right
Very
there.
well. I'll
But
do
the problem-
that and not spend the fate point then. So booyah.
So I mean, you smash this guy as he's crawling all over you before he can do anything. You pull the nanites back out of him, and the little pieces go clattering to the ground. But there are still more oozing out of the bulb, and they're coming at a faster and faster rate. So right now there's that one is now gone because you just had to deal 1 stress to him to take him out. But the bulb continues to spew more out.
Okay.
All right, so that was
And,
Court. Yeah.
Quick question.
Sure.
Movement? Do we get a free
Yes. Each
1 shift move or whatever?
round you can move 1 zone. You can move 1 zone, which basically means, right now you're outside the cordon. So moving 1 zone would be moving into the cordon. Moving a 2nd zone would be moving into the crater, so you can actually get to this thing that's fallen in the bulb. So you get 1 free shift. If you want to just dedicate yourself to running, then you can move multiple
Right.
zones in a single round.
Take your whole action for it.
If there's anything that would be inhibiting your ability to move, you probably have to take a whole action to get past it.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna move out because I'm like right next to the thing. I'm gonna move out to
Sure.
within the crater, I guess.
Cool. You move out away from the bulb.
Back and away from these things.
Cool.
Okay. Go, Badger.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so range on guns. How does that work with zones?
Excuse me. Terribly sorry.
You're excused.
So range on guns. Trying to make sure, but I'm pretty sure by default you can fire into an adjacent zone, and I think firing further than that might give you trouble. Let me just see if I can make sure of that.
But I get a free move, right? So I could use my move to move up into the next zone and then
Exactly.
fire into the pod zone.
That is exactly right. Let me see. Range is not in here. Why would it be in here? That would be helpful.
I'm pretty sure it's like -1 per
For each
zone or
additional
something.
zone. I have a feeling you're right. I just wish it was actually
I think that's how it works in other Fate games.
identified. Yeah, the problem is keeping track of things as they change. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, yeah, it's a ranged attack, and I think you can fire into the adjacent zone, and it would be -1 for each further zone. Let's just go with that for the time being. So, yeah, what do you want to do? You want to just move forward 1 zone? That means you're past
Yeah.
the cordon, and then
Yep.
open fire?
Yep, because I have to same port.
Yeah.
That was literally the only thing about combat I actually understood. So I need hand-holding. So
No,
I
that's
think
not a
what
problem.
I want to do is I want to use Provoke. Where'd that go? To create an advantage to helping Quirt get away. And I have that Wiseacre. Words. Why do I have all the hard words?
I'm sorry. Wiseacre, yes.
Wiseacre. I looked at it, I'm like, that's not how that word's pronounced.
Wiseacre.
It's an old-timey word.
See, also Smarty Pants.
Yes.
You could probably also full auto fire and hit everything in there.
That is also true. Well, so what do you want to do, Badger? You want to using provoke would be you like trying to insult and trying to get them to come after you. It's like you,
Yeah,
or
that was
it's
my
terrifying them,
thought.
intimidating them. Okay, so you're stepping forward into the cordon, and you're going to start screaming at the bulb and the robots.
Yes.
That's kind of awesome.
Which is basically, hey, pick on someone your own size. See
Oh,
what
that's
I did there?
adorable.
I know.
Excuse me, that's adorable.
And so not smart.
All right. I actually am cool with that. So go ahead, and that would be provoke. And I think actually what you're doing in this case, they're robots. I don't see them getting like taken out by this. I don't see them taking stress, but I do see this creating an advantage. I do see this creating an aspect for you to tag on them later. Does that sound fair?
Definitely.
Okay.
So I'm
Cool.
rolling.
You're
Right.
going to be rolling, yeah, provoke, and I'm going to be rolling for them. Does action actually give me will?
Do I have to spend something to do a stunt, BT dubs?
Unless the stunt specifically says.
Okay.
No, you do not. So Wiseacre, you just have to be cracking wise. You just have to be like saying something to them, which is, like Rocket Raccoon from the movie, like jokey and like that is not a plan, and that is a real laugh, and something like that. Something funny. Be funny.
I thought that was funny.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that like that is a be funny stunt. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and roll. Jeebus!
Oh, wow.
Okay. So that wow. All right.
Cute.
So the bad news is I got a +4. The good news is I only gave them the action mode because they're very simple. So that's all they got. They got a +4. What do you have?
+7.
Jeebus!
Well, I have a +4 in provoke, and then I get a +2, right? I'm reading this right?
Yeah, no, you are correct. All right, so I need to start spending these fate points. That's basically what I'm doing. Cool. So in this case, you get an aspect on them, and I have a feeling like the way I'm seeing this in my head is as you step forward and you started yelling at them, their response is to like quickly scan you and then zero in on you. So what sort of aspect do you think you're putting on them?
An aspect on them.
Yeah.
I basically want to use easily distractible, but I don't know how you apply that for robots.
Sure. Easily distractible. I was thinking of like high priority target shift or
Yeah, because they're distracted right now, right?
Use your words. Yeah.
high priority target shift.
Focus on noise.
Focus on noise. That works. That's good actually.
Nice.
I like that.
I like
Is that
it.
cool?
Yeah, that's perfect.
And you get 2 free invokes there. Okay, cool. So who are you passing it to, Badger?
I think I'll pass it back to you, Brendan, to see what their next move is.
Sure. So you pass it to me. Okay, cool. So at this point, I want to make sure I have this particular part in mind. I can spend fate points to, for instance, make bad guys bigger or stronger, or bring in new bad guys. And looking at that. Okay, well, yeah. At this point, so the one is smashed. That Quart that was coming out at Quart, that one is gone. But the bulb has been spewing out a bunch. So I think now there are, like, I'm gonna go ahead and just say, at least 2 more on the ground. And the bulb is going to continue to spew them out. And a third one comes popping out. And then the 2 that are out already are actually going to uniformly come after Badger. So Badger, you shifted 1 zone into the cordon, so they shift 1 zone away from the actual bulb itself to the outside of the crater. Yeah, and they want to come all the way after you.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and just do a simple thing. They're going to spend their entire action. They need, I think, a +1 on an athletics roll. They have a +1 on it already. Oh, wow, they got a 0. That's funny. Yeah, okay. I will spend one of my 4 fate points on that aforementioned consumptive programming, or on focus on noise. They're coming right after Badger. And they're like, so 2 of them come hurtling out of the crater right past Quart, and they're like gonna land right on the ground in front of Badger, and they're beelining straight for Badger as the 3rd one comes out of the bulb. All right, so that's what they're gonna do, and I will pass to Kagape.
All right. Well, now that there's a distraction, I'm going to try to work my way to the side and down the side of the crater.
Sure.
I want to move stealthily and try to ambush the main pod, because that seems to be the threat.
Oh, sure. So you're going after the main pod and leaving your friends to die. I love it. I am totally on board with that. No, that's awesome. That's perfectly Kagape. Cool. So, in that case, you're just trying to come up to the pod like without it noticing you, basically.
Yes.
Right. You have stealth +4. I'm trying to think if this would even be stealth.
Yeah, since they're already distracted, maybe you can just do that.
I think so. I think they're already distracted. So, I mean, you're moving up to the side, and you're like, you're basically moving an extra zone. So, I mean, you would need a +1 on an athletics check, I think, to move that extra zone and get in there. But as long as you do that, they're already distracted.
Well, I'm enhanced by the Nas, so I'm faster than normal humans. I don't know if that plays into this. Can I move it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely stronger than normal humans, but at a cost. Absolutely faster than normal humans and at a cost. Sure. I'll quickly say what that means. So what that means is that in any situation where you and your strength matters versus like an average human, you are absolutely 100% stronger than them. There's no roll. There's no chance. You're stronger. Right? So if you were to get in an arm wrestle with a regular human being, you would win. No question. But at a cost. And at a cost means you get in an arm wrestling contest with another human and you win, but maybe you wind up breaking their arm accidentally, or maybe you wind up breaking the table accidentally. So there is a cost when you use this, but there's no roll, there's no chance. If you were in a race with a regular human being, you would win, but at a cost.
All right. So
yes.
I need
Go ahead.
athletics roll to move up to it, the extra zone?
Yeah, and you have athletics +5. There's practically no chance you can miss this. There is, in fact...
Now that you've said it.
Yeah, okay, you're good. And you succeeded with style, too.
All right.
And this was an overcome.
Slide down the side of the crater. A little ice skating.
A little ice skating, yes, nice. This was an overcome, and you succeeded with style, so you get a boost in addition to attaining your goal. And the boost, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me if the boost is something like you wanted, the stealthy approach, or never see you coming or something.
Yeah, never see me coming sounds good.
Cool. Never see me coming. And that boost is then an aspect you can use once. It gives you +2, and then it's gone.
Okay.
All right, cool. Who are you passing it to, Kagape?
I think we have our big hulking hero. Sorry, I forgot the name. It was complicated. Arcrix, yeah.
Annihilator.
Annihilator, yes, that's easier. Arcrix.
Okay, go ahead, Arcrix.
So I've noticed that when Badger went into the cordon and started talking, all the robots focused their attention on her. So I'm going to vault the fence on the cordon and try to land inside the cordon as loudly as possible, invoking that follow loud noise aspect.
Sure.
And I'm also going to trigger my strike where they're weak stunt, which says that when I invoke one of my opponent's aspects or consequences in a physical conflict, I get a +3 bonus instead of +2.
Sure. Let me go see that for a sec.
Sure.
want to make sure what that says. Yeah, when you invoke one of your opponent's aspects or consequences in a physical conflict, you get a +3 bonus instead of +2. Totally. So you're trying to draw them all to yourself, right?
Yeah. And then obviously I would just start like laying about them with my Annihilax.
Sure. So I mean, yeah. If I think then what you want to do is attack, right?
Yes.
You're leaping in, you're invoking that aspect, and you're attacking. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely attacks, which would be combat.
Yes, this is going to be combat.
All right. So 3 minuses.
Oof.
So that leaves me with a +2, and then I get the. So I get
Now,
my combat's +5, so a -3 would leave me with a +2, and then do I add
Correct.
3 from the stunt?
Because you're
well,
invoking. Yeah.
here's
What's
the
up?
thing. So you always roll first, and then,
And then-
afterwards you can choose to spend fate points
I see.
on aspects and stuff.
I see.
So
Right.
you get that. You still have to spend the fate point to.
Yep.
Or
Okay.
the free. There's a free tag on Focus on Noise.
That's right. That's right. And you would get a +3 bonus for that instead of +2.
Correct.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and tag that Focus on Noise, and then that's going to be a +3 for you, so you'd be back up to a 5.
Yep. Yeah. So that's where that leaves me.
Sure.
Cool.
So they got a total of a 0 on their roll. So because there are 2 of them that were in front of Badger, those are the 2 that would then turn to you as soon as you leaped in, and so they have a +2, and they come right at you just as you want, and you lay waste on them with your Annihilax.
Nice.
Yeah, so your call. Are you using your Annihilax? So your Annihilax, I want to call this out quickly. It's weapon 2 or weapon 4 with a cost. So the cost, and I said throwing the Annihilax. That means that basically you can use the Annihilax as a weapon 4. It'll be really, really badass and do lots of extra stuff, but it's at a cost. And for instance, throwing the Annihilax means the cost is you lose the Annihilax, right? You don't have it on you anymore.
Gotcha.
Are you using it as a weapon 2?
I will use it as a weapon 4. I will just heave it right at them.
Okay. Well, wait. What do you have? You have a 5 right now?
Yeah.
Sure. If you wanted to use it actually as a weapon 4, that would be perfect if you're using it against the bulb. I'm going to tell you the same thing I told Aaron. These little robots are little. You probably actually are carving them up right now with a weapon 2.
Okay. All right. Well then, I'll
Okay.
save the 4 for another time then.
Beep, beep. Sure. So the bulb is continuing to spit them out, and now there are like 3 of them growing in the space underneath the bulb. But the 2 that were right in front of Badger, as soon as you clomp down Arcrix, they come hurtling at you in one sweep of the Annihilax, and they are cleft in twain, and they lie wriggling on the ground, unable to do anything. All right, new round. Who are you passing it to, Arcrix? You can pass it to yourself, theoretically.
Yeah, I think I might just do that. Just pass it to myself, and jump. So there's no more robots in the cordon. They're all down in the crater.
They're all down in the crater, yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna leap down into the crater again, making as much noise as possible, trying to draw them to myself.
Sure.
And then that's a move. So that'll leave me with an attack. So I guess I would just do the same. I would attack the 3 robots that are
down there? Sure.
forming down there. Yeah.
You just want to chop them up? Totally,
Yeah.
go for it.
Take out the trash.
Take out the trash. Go ahead and roll, +5.
+5 again.
Oof.
I got 2 pluses, 2 minuses.
All right, so you have a +5. I have a total of a 2. So right now you are. I mean, you pretty much. That means you're going to murder all 3.
Right. Just
well-
as I planned it.
So I just want to point out also, Brendan, you can spend. You have 3 fate points.
Yeah, I know.
to spend, so you could spend 2 of those to actually be higher, and then the downside, of course, is Gabe could spend some of his fate points as well. But at least
Right.
to be, using up some of our resources.
Yeah, but I can do that later.
Yeah, it's just throwing the option out there.
No. I mean that is absolutely an option, but I don't really love spending the fate points on these little guys. Yeah. No, so you just carve up the 3, but the bulb is still spitting out more, even as you're standing right there watching. Yeah, I mean, so those 3 were right underneath it, and you just hacked them up with the axe, even as another drop down.
Okay.
Who are you passing it to?
I will pass it to Agape.
All right, Kagape, what are you doing?
Kagape has found the right spot, right behind it, and never seen me coming. She draws Death Legends, her monofilament blade, and will slash up it, trying to carve it in half.
Yeah, totally. So this then is going to be combat.
Okay. Does it get
Yeah.
a defense?
It
some kind?
does. It does. I'm going to go ahead and roll for that. I wish it just automatically rolled 4. All right, so what did you get, Kagape?
I got +1 on my roll, and the combat is just it's +5, so that's +6. And I'm going ahead and tag that aspect I created when I sneak
Sure.
up on it.
Never see me coming?
Yep.
You have a +8, right?
And I get +1 more, and when I tag an aspect during combat, so it's +9.
What is that for? When invoking an aspect in physical conflict while using Death Legends, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So you have a 9. So I have a total of a 3. Yeah, but in this case... Okay, yeah. So the bulb will actually, it will tag its own defense tendrils. I mean, so you're coming up and, I mean, you get way too close. Your blade is right by it before it starts to react. But as it does, lightning quick little tendrils start spewing out from the bulb to try and, snag your hands and get in the way of the blade coming in. So that's one of my fate points I will spend. So I'm up to a 5. Beep. And then, yeah, I will go ahead. What do you got here? Okay.
Uh-oh.
What's up? Oh
We
no!
lost our combat expert
Oh,
there,
no.
assassin. Which means no one can take a turn.
Alright, game's over.
We win.
Yay! Yay, Sentinels.
Yay, team! Alright. Thank you, Aaron.
Mhm.
What is, oof, yeah. Alright.
So that blade is also weapon 4.
That blade is weapon 4, yes.
So that's
It's going to be a lot of stress, yes, which is why I am invoking a whole bunch of things all at once.
and in Fate, the stress track, or in Fate Core rather, in Atomic Robo, it goes basically just you have to reduce it, and you just knock out one box of stress, right? So you take out their highest stress box, whatever, and that removes
There we go.
3, say, and then the others they have to use consequences or something to deal with it. Is that right?
I think you can mark multiple. Can you only mark a single stress box? I think you can mark multiple. The same way you can take multiple consequences, because the way it would work is each stress box has a value associated with it, and so each stress box you mark reduces the hit by that value. So if you mark off stress box 3, it's like -3 to the overall hit. If you mark off stress box 2, it's like -2 to the overall hit. If you mark off a consequence, there is mild, moderate, and severe consequences, or something like that. And each one of those will reduce the hit by a certain value as well. But those are basically like aspects that stick with you. They're nasty things that happen. So like a mild one would be like sprained ankle or something, twisted ankle. And that would reduce the hit in exchange for you getting an aspect on you. That's a negative aspect. People can compel against you, invoke against you. And so it's a lot about just making sure you reduce the hit to 0, because if you don't, you get taken out.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm inviting Dwayne again. As Kagape is frozen, everybody's
Okay.
frozen, waiting to see.
Time to grab a bio.
Oh yeah, we can grab a quick bio break if everybody wants, as we are waiting to resolve Kagape's blade. All right, let's take a quick break.
Very tense.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
Only 2 seconds.
Yeah.
All right.
So
What's
in
up?
Fate Core, it
Yep.
says you can only check off 1 stress box per hit.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. Atomic Robo might have changed that.
I would be surprised if it
Probably
changed
not,
that.
though. Yeah. So basically, you get one of your options is to take a hit of stress.
Right.
But
And you can
only
take the consequences.
at most you can just take your highest one, and that's so.
Right. And that's it. So if it's still past the highest one, it'll just
Beyond
take
that, you can take as many consequences as you want.
Right. Okay. So the consequences are supposed to reduce it, so you can take the stress. Yep. That makes sense. Okay. All right. Be right back.
Cool. Okay.
You look so confused, Aaron.
Do I?
Yeah.
Just working on getting Dwayne back. Seems he has to restart or something.
Lame sauce.
Right. What do you think so far?
I'm really confused.
Okay. Yeah,
It's a lot of pieces I don't understand.
that's true. Fate is it's kind of complicated, actually. Um, yeah, it's not the best game to. I'm really glad we went with pre-gen characters though. I think.
Oh, I never would have figured out the aspects. I'm not very
Yeah,
I'm not very quick-witted.
aspects are very interesting. They can be hard to come up with on the fly without any experience with them.
Hmm.
But basically, they can be used to, they're not necessarily good, not necessarily bad. They're just a part of your character that can be helpful or can get you into trouble sometimes.
Sure. They're just also very cleverly worded.
Yes.
And we know I'm not good with the words.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm conflicted. In a lot of Fate games, it's kind of, hey, you're back.
Ah,
Awesome.
finally. Was I the only one booted, or?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Uh,
Right in
but
the
we got
middle
you
of
back.
my swing.
Yes. Well, we decided to take a little break anyway
Okay.
while we waited.
All right.
But so it's good. Yeah, aspects in a lot of Fate games, it can be fun to. Whoop! Do we lose Andrea now? Great.
Yeah.
Um,
So I heard that he was putting up some tentacles. Did he come up with anything else to stop me?
yeah. Well, I think he's gonna have to
Yep.
avoid being taken out.
Well, I have a bunch of combat aspects too, so.
Yeah. Basically, how stress works in Fate, everybody has a certain number of uh, boxes on their stress track. Like we have like four and two, between two and four, looks like, for physical stress. And basically, when you take a hit, um, whenever you take a hit, you're taken out by default, which means that you're not necessarily dead, but the opponent gets to say what happens. And in order to avoid being taken out, you need to
Consequences, right?
reduce that stress, that incoming stress, to zero. And you have a couple options for doing that. You can mark off a box of stress, and the number of the stress box is how much stress it reduces. So if you mark off the second box, that reduces the hit by 2, right? But you can only do one stress box. So some people, if you have 4 stress boxes, you can mark off the number 4 box and reduce it by 4. Or if you've already used the number 4 box, then you have to use the number 3 box, right, which reduces it by only 3. And you can only use one stress box. If you still have incoming stress after that, then you have to turn to consequences, which you have in Fate Core. You have 3 consequences, which reduce it by 2, 3, or 4 stress.
Right.
But you can take more than one consequence if you want. You can take like to reduce it by 6, you could take your number 2 consequence and your number 4 consequence. But the consequences represent like they actually did some damage to you, right? They really like they broke your arm, or you've got some bruises, or you were got some cut or something. And consequences are aspects that can be used against you as well. So it means future hits against you are probably going to be even worse because they spend fate points to use those aspects to do even more damage. Or they might use them to like manipulate you some other way and force you to do something.
Right.
So depending on the severity of the consequences they use, then they, you can get rid of those aspects over time. But if you end up having to use your severe consequence, then it's going to take you're going to have that for a while. It's going to take a long time to recover. So that's stuff like, broken arms and stuff like that. But stress boxes it's all good because stress boxes just clear up at the end of the encounter, at the end of each scene.
Right.
So stress is just temporary. It's like, oh, I'm out of breath, or I've lost focus for a moment or whatever, but it comes back really quickly. But it looks like since Kagape has just struck this thing
pretty darn hard.
it's gonna have a hard time. So it's gonna have to use probably whatever its largest stress box is, and then probably spend some fate points just to boost its result number, so it doesn't have as much incoming stress as well.
Right. Yeah. So picking up. Yeah, Kagape's attack was coming in, and you had a total of a 9, I think, right? And I had a total of a 3. Yeah, and you are a 4-weapon hit with your nightmarish weapon of doom.
Yep.
This is I just want to put this in context. This is the moment where I'm like, oh, I did that, didn't I? I did actually give that a weapon 4, and oh dear.
Yes,
Oh,
you're
dear.
very good at what she does.
Yeah, I like how we both entered at the same time. Great. So, yeah, I'm going to spend all 3 fate points I have. Remember, I had 4 per scene. I spent 1 earlier. I'm going to spend all 3 right now. For defense tendrils, with the tendrils unlocking are like making it hard for you to get a good hit in. Regenerative tech. So even as you're striking it, like as your blade sears into it with enormous ease, you watch the cut closing up. And similarly, consumptive nanites. Your blade is an amazing blade, and it's incredibly well made, which makes it all the more unnerving as it's actually like parts of the blade you can see sort of steaming as you're striking at it, and it's eating parts of your own blade to heal itself. As it's actually also the snow and ground around it is getting pulled up into it to similarly like fuel back down and heal it up. So that's +6 for me, so I'm up to a 9. So right now you're doing a weapon 4 hit, which means right now you will still be dealing 4 to me.
I'd like to activate some aspects myself.
Yeah, go for it.
And I'm empowered by the might of the Nos, so I think I'm gonna compel that one, or whatever the right.
Invoke.
Invoke. I'm gonna invoke. So I'm just moving faster than the tendrils can react to. Well.
Sure.
And I don't know. Can I also invoke the martial artist?
Martial artist is one of your modes. The aspect is don't remember how many I've killed.
All right. Well, but so I can invoke that as well.
Yes.
All right.
It'll just cost you 2 fate points.
Right. So I'm going to also invoke don't remember how many I've killed. I'm sure I fought something that did something like this. It wasn't exactly, but I know what to do.
Of course. So that means you have a +4 right now. So you're back up to a 13 versus its 9, which means right now you're going to be dealing an 8 stress. Goddamn hit. Yeah. All right. Do I want to give in?
Well, it's too late to give in.
I know. Well, but as in like, do I just want to let you take it out or? Take its consequences. I'll take its consequences, and let's see where this goes. So you're dealing 8 stress right now. Now, actually, I just want to call this out too. This is actually bulletproof. I gave it the stunt bulletproof. However, Death Legends ignores armor on non-bulletproof enemies and can harm bulletproof enemies. So Death Legends, because it is this enormously powerful blade, monofilament blade, it can actually cut the bulb, but it does not ignore the armor on this enemy, and the enemy has 1 armor. So you're going to be dealing 7 stress to it. So on that, I'm going to go ahead and give it a severe consequence and check off its first stress box. So the severe consequence is this needs to be like a huge hit. This is something it's not really going to recover from. So because it can heal, well, what do you think the severe consequence is?
I was thinking maybe it's going to lose its ability to draw in, for at least for a good amount of time. Like maybe I hit whatever
Sure.
the body causes it to be able to draw in
Materials.
materials, right?
Sure. I like that. So like severed material scoop.
Sounds good.
I'm good with that. Severed material scoop. Cool. All right. Yeah. And so like you cut off some part of it that was stuck into the ground and sucking up material straight from the ground, and it's squealing and spewing out some sort of weird blue fluid now. As it's actually moving, right? The parts of it, the flower parts of it that were embedded in the ground and trying to hold it up, are actually trying to they're swaying it back and forth, and it's moving a little bit. So that severe consequence is going to go ahead and give it. You have 1 free invoke on that because it's a consequence. All right.
New aspect.
Yeah, it's like a new aspect, exactly. Who are you passing it to, Kagape?
I will pass it to.
Arcrix is gone, and you have gone.
Let's go pass it to Quirt.
Sure, Quirt. What are you going to do?
Actually, I don't really have anything to do, so I'm gonna suggest passing to Badger.
Okay. All right. Let's go with Badger.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of lost track of what our characters are seeing. Like, we saw, the crazy tendrils.
Yeah. So what you're seeing right now, right? Arcrix has leapt into the crater. Arcrix is hacking up the little robots, but they're still dripping out of the bulb. Kagape, coming from seemingly out of nowhere, slid down the crater and shoved her giant sword at it. But tendrils immediately erupted out from it, trying to hold off her sword, even as it regenerated around her cut and pulled material from the ground to fuel the regeneration. Kagape sliced off the piece of it that was seemingly pumping material up from the ground, and it is now squealing and spewing blue fluid around. But again, those little robots are still dripping out of the bulb. And you are standing, Badger, close to the edge of the crater at the moment, I think.
I think so. I kind of still, that kind of, it cleared it up, but it didn't change what I kind of want to do. I kind of want to build a bomb. Why not? Oh, God.
Excuse me. Damn it. Of course you want to build a bomb. Of course you want to build a bomb.
Of course I do. So I have that stunt, made it myself.
Oh my God.
Maybe you shouldn't be allowed to make characters anymore, Brendan.
Well, so I do want to make sure this is clear, though. Like, this is kind of awesome, and you can totally do this. But this is a once-per-game thing, right? Okay, cool. Go for it.
Okay. I need to open up my dice stream.
So this is made it myself. Once per game, spend a fate point and roll explosives to create a new bomb that can be detonated as a Weapon X attack that catches everyone in the same zone, with X being the result of the roll.
Boo. Okay, let me find out what my explosions are here. So...
I believe your explosives is +4.
It's a 1.
So right now, it's a 2, isn't it?
Oh, no, it's a 2. Yeah, I'm sorry. Math.
2.
Math
now,
is hard.
if you want, you can spend fate points on this. You already spent 1 to actually invoke this stunt. This stunt requires you to spend a fate point. So that means that you have 4 fate points left. So go ahead if you want. You can invoke aspects to help boost this up. I mean, so for instance, like there's an aspect on the scene of Tesladine Corden squad, and I easily see you snapping up materials from them to make this bomb of yours.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you want to invoke? If you want to boost it up,
that's kind of how I was picturing it happening too.
Sure. So do you want to invoke like Tesladine squad?
Yep. So I spend a fate point for that.
You spend a fate point for that. You have 3 left, and your roll is now a 4.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Do you want to go any higher?
Yeah. You have an aspect, master of things that go boom, so which you could easily justify. But I don't know if you want to spend that.
Yeah, I don't want to make this like, you know, a nuclear explosion that takes out all of Russia. So I don't know how big.
Weapon 6 is not going to be absurd. Well, I mean it's absurd, but it's not going to be a nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
Weapon 6 is a pretty huge attack.
It's limited to the zone anyway. So.
Yes. It's
Oh,
limited.
good. Oh yeah.
Then, why
the heck not?
Cool.
Well, let me take off another.
And another fate point.
Yep.
All right. So you're down to 2 fate points, and you just created a weapon 6 bomb. Okay. All right. So Badger just like stole all these Tesladine guys. Are like, what? And this Badger runs up and just snaps off pieces of their like tool belts. I need this. What does the bomb look like?
Oh, it looks absolutely crazy because it's a bunch of wires and pieces of mishmash junk, and some of the stuff's been stripped off and some of it hasn't. So like there's somebody's cell phone like in the middle of it.
This is probably the most terrifying thing about Atomic Badger, the ability to create a bomb out of practically nothing. Cool. All right. Well, so then that's. Yeah, I guess the question is that your action? I guess I'm sort of conceiving it as like that's what you're doing this time.
Yeah,
cool?
That's how I would read it, because you can't just create a bomb with a snap of your finger.
With no time. Yeah, exactly.
Even Atomic Badger?
So who are you passing it to, Badger?
All right.
Ooh, let's go back to you, Brendan, because 2 turns in a row seems scary.
I don't think they've gone yet. Yeah. Okay. So at this point, right? I'm going to go ahead and start doing it this way. I'm going to spend one of my fate points from my reserve. I have 14 fate points in my reserve, so now I have 13. And I'm going to use that to create 3 new little robots. And the little guys are going to leap onto Arcrix, while the bulb itself is probably going to send its tendrils trying to wrap around Kagape's neck and throttle the crap out of her. However, actually, this is fair. So there are 2 things now, right? I'm going to spend the fate point and create the 3 little guys. So the 3 little guys are actually going to be like a different group now. Before, the bulb wasn't really acting besides creating some of these little guys. Now the bulb is its own acting. So they're like 2 different people, the way you 2 are 2 different characters, or, you know. So right now, you passed it to the bulb, I'm imagining. Because there were no little guys. Because Arcrix was hacking them up. And then I'm going to spend that fate point to create 3 new ones. So then the bulb... well, and I guess if that's the thing the bulb is doing, that's the thing the bulb is doing, actually. Same way you just created the bomb, then that should be the thing the bulb is doing. Yeah, all right, okay. Let's do that.
So there's 3 more of these little guys?
3 more of these little guys stripped out of the bulb, and the 3 little guys are going to leap on Arcrix and try and shoo him apart. So they are rolling combat to try and shoo him apart. So Arcrix, how are you defending?
So I would just spin the Annihilax and create just like a screen of shrieking steel in front of me to avoid any of the shots.
That's an aspect if I've ever heard one. Screen of shrieking steel.
Yeah, that's probably wielder of the Annihilax.
Well, go ahead and so you're defending with combat, and you can defend with combat against a melee attack. So that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Minus 2, which puts me at 3 for combat, and then I would like to Can I invoke on a defend action?
Well, you can, but right now, so what we're looking at is they have a 3 and you have a 3. So you can invoke if you want, and you would get a 5, and then they would get nothing, basically. They wouldn't hit you at all. However, you can also just leave it, and all they will get is a boost, which is, again, that free one-time disposable aspect.
You know, I feel like I need to kind of get my fate point expenditures up, so I'm going to go ahead and invoke Wielder.
Sure.
To give myself a +2.
Sure. So you are now down to, what is that, 3 fate points?
Yes, sir.
Cool. And this is that screaming steel wall as they're coming at you?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just spinning it so blindingly fast in a circle in front of me.
Yeah, and they just bounce off it. They can't get into to strike. Cool. All right, so then I will pass it to Quart, who's the only person who hasn't done anything.
Okay.
You want to
I
take the
will.
bomb?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Don't you and Quart both have this? Sorry, don't Badger and Quart have that weird connection stunt?
I do.
But did I not give it to Quart? That's sad. I should have given it to
the
Quart.
what now?
Weird
I should've given it to
connection.
Quart.
Yeah.
Oh. Invoking advantage created by Quart. Oh, so I should create advantages, huh? Okay. I actually, as much as I enjoy blowing alien things up, I think there's a broader goal here, which is to find out more information about this thing.
Yeah.
And I am going to... Now, this is broadcasting like on radio frequencies.
Yes.
And I'm going to try to communicate with this thing and figure out, where this message is coming from and what it means, kind of deal. So
Sure.
Quirt is standing back kind of in the crater, and maybe this is a little risky, but Quirt is going to basically form an antenna and extend it up and start, so he can receive the radio communications, like getting
Sure.
it to the right frequency, and then as well start sending out this radio frequency message back and forth and try to like pinpoint what it means by be prepared.
Excuse me.
Like maybe where this message is coming from, or like where if it's receiving signals somewhere or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
gonna
Cool.
Need to know more about this before we blow it to smithereens.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool. So I think I'm using
Shape-shifting to overcome.
shapeshifting. Cool. Boom. Let's see. -2, so a total of 3.
Huh.
What's is it defending, or is there an obstacle or something?
Yes. Well, because part of what you're trying to do is you're trying to penetrate its, like, the meaning, right? You're trying to figure out what it actually is meaning in this signal by tapping into the signal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
Actually,
hacking in, man.
I'm sort of like that's a combination of empathy and shapeshifting, where you have to shapeshift just to be able to get yourself into that shape.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
I'll buy that. We can do it. I just have to convince them not to blow it up before
Don't blow it up.
Next turn.
You idiots! You blew it all up. Sure. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, you want to shapeshift into your like radio antenna form. So maybe in that way, like this is actually create advantage, where you're creating the advantage of shapeshifting into this like radio
Okay.
antenna form, right?
Sure.
And it's like the first step of
Yeah,
this.
I'm prepared to perform a task. Perfect. The advantage is I can hear you.
Nice. I can hear you. Nice. What did you roll?
I got a total of 3.
Gosh darn it. Okay. Yeah, I think that I would probably have set the difficulty at like 2. So I think that you have the advantage, but with 1 free tag.
Why free tag? Oh, because it's a new aspect.
Because you created an advantage, right?
Okay, cool. Go. So it's a new round.
Yeah, you can give it to yourself before they blow it up.
Oh, right. Good point. I will give it to myself. And we're going to hack in and figure it out, man. Empathy plus
Yeah, do it.
4.
Now it is resisting with its deceive.
Okay.
Balls.
So 3 plus 2, so, or sorry, 4 plus 2, so 6 total on my side. So far.
You have a 4?
I have 6
Or
total.
6 total? Yeah, it only has a 3.
Sweet.
Boop.
I'm inside your head.
Did you invoke the I can hear you?
No, so total 8.
Yeah, so that means that I... Oh, poop. I mean, like, I could spend a bunch of fate points to try and resist, but that seems like a poor plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me your secret, strange alien pod.
Totally.
Is it
So,
even an extraterrestrial type of deal, or what's going on?
yeah,
give me-
I think
Give me the next
that's
clue.
what you pick up on. You are hearing from it that it is actually a heavily terrestrial, like encoded broadcast, and you're hearing from it like it's clearly been distorted and changed so that nobody will be able to tell this, but it's a human voice that's been altered and modified to sound weird and alien. That's what you're picking up beneath the radio broadcast. You're detecting this human voice. Excuse me.
Ooh.
And I'm wondering if should you get more information. I mean, you succeeded with style, right?
Yes.
Yeah, totally. So,
Is it alien technology? Like the pod itself, or is it just totally man-made
nope. This
kind of deal?
is super advanced technology, but it's man-made.
Okay, cool. Gotcha. I want to give Kagape a chance to get out of the way before a gigantic explosive device goes off in your face. Go for it.
All right, so Kagape, what are you doing?
I guess I am getting out of there. I darted in without it seeing me. I cut off the piece I didn't want it using, and I will now slide away quickly, running up the side of the crater. That's my plan, at least.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna drag with you the piece that you cut off.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yes. And you move out of the zone. As long as you're out of the zone, you're fine. So yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
I'm very sorry about this. Cool. So yeah, you drag the piece behind you. Do you want to pass it to somebody else?
Yes, I will pass it to Atomic Badger.
Arcrix is still there, by
yeah,
the way.
Yeah. You might want to get him out first.
Oh, I thought he was on top of the crater.
No, I'm down there.
Okay, then I'll pass it to Arcrix.
Okay.
Can I choose to defend? Or is there anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, you can set yourself up for full defense.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, it probably won't be necessary, right? All the little robots are down in the crater, and if this bomb goes off, well, it's probably going to take this thing out.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Arcrix.
Do I have time to take an attack action and then jump out of the crater, or do I have to jump out if I want to avoid the blast?
I think you get one free shift, so I think you can attack and then shift out. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna hit the bulb with my axe, but I'm trying to create an advantage for, like, I'm basically just trying to penetrate the outside of the bulb a little bit, so when the bomb lands, it can kind of settle in and do a little more damage.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, actually, are you trying to attack or create an advantage for that?
I'm trying to create an advantage ultimately.
Yeah, I buy that. Cool. So go ahead and roll. It's still going to defend because you're creating an advantage by, like, whacking at it.
Right. So I'm still rolling combat.
Yeah, you're still rolling combat. I'm pretty sure you can create advantages with combat in exactly the way that you were doing.
Okay, great.
Yeah, there you go.
That's -3.
Oof.
So I'm probably going to want to invoke something there.
But you get to see what their roll was as well.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I got a 5, and if you got a -3, that brings your +5 skill down to a 2. So I'm at a total of a 5 versus your total of a 2.
Okay. So, all right. So could I pull my Annihilator's Might stunt? I'm absolutely stronger than any basic humanoid, but at a cost. I have armor 1 against all attacks, which I guess wouldn't come up in this instance. But
Yeah,
the stronger thing could help me.
What was that?
The stronger thing could help me.
So you are absolutely stronger, which means that, again, you can do things that are impossible. It's not really like an aspect that you invoke. It's supposed to be like in a situation where it matters whether or not you literally can do something at all.
Okay.
Because you're strong enough, you are stronger. Here, I'm pulling up the absolute strength thing. Choose a skill. When using that skill for an overcome action, you can exceed what normal humans can accomplish. So the skill is physique. So when you are using physique, you can overcome basically what any normal human could do.
Okay, I got you.
Right. So basically, you get to roll when ordinarily somebody wouldn't get to roll normally.
Right.
Right.
I got you. To do something ridiculous.
It doesn't actually help you roll better. It's just it justifies. I actually can. It's physically possible for me to do this when ordinarily it wouldn't be.
Okay. So in that case, I guess we'll call it a fail, and I'll get out of there.
Okay, cool. This was a create advantage, right?
And so who needs to go? Who hasn't gone yet this round? Or are we at the top of the round?
No, it's, I think, just me and Brendan.
Yes,
Okay.
that is right. So, and just to call this out, you're creating an advantage to make a new aspect, right? And you wanted to create like a nook or a cranny, like for the bomb to fall into, right?
Yes, exactly.
So you
Not
failed.
on the surface of it.
So you failed, which means you either don't create it, or you create it, but your opponent gets a free invocation on it. So in this case, I mean, like we could say it either way. We could say it as you've given it a weird, distorted shape. So then it would actually, because it's got a distorted shape, maybe that means it can actually turn away the blow of the bomb better. So it's your call. I mean, in this case, it might make just as much sense to just say you're trying to bang your axe into it quickly, but it's regenerating around your axe hits, so it doesn't quite take.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably since we're trying to kill it right away, we don't want to give it more ammo.
Yes,
Right.
that's probably true.
It would be helpful. Sometimes you'd want to do that if you think you're going to use the
The fight's
aspect
gonna
later,
last.
like
Yeah.
in a future, right? But
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Arkrix dives out of the crater, and the crater is clear except for the robots. Badger?
Ooh, me. Okay, so what do I need to roll to get this thing in there? I mean, I'm obviously going to have to move up.
Well, if you just want to chuck the bomb, I mean, if you want to place the bomb, I guess that's different. Like, if you want to move into the same zone as it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to throw the bomb, I'd probably call that, I think, athletics or physique. Let me quickly check as to which that would be, but I'm thinking probably strength in terms of, like, physique is your raw natural force.
Mm-hmm.
And athletics. Athletics is your character's general level of physical fitness. Because there's no real throw kind of thing.
I'm
I
good with
think-
either one of those.
my interpretation,
Would be combat?
not based on much, is physique is more like constitution
Yeah.
kind of deal, and athletics
Sure.
is more like strength. Type,
So I'd say athletics. So we'll go for athletics.
Good, because that's my higher one.
Make this shot count, Badger.
No pressure.
No pressure. So that's 5, 6, 7.
All right. Yeah, I didn't mean to open that. So this is just for you to chuck it into the same area, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Clear. And let's see. I mean, I'm trying to think of it as defending itself, trying to knock the thing out of the area. I feel like that's fair. It has these defensive tendrils that it would be extending, trying to prevent you from chucking it in.
Yep.
And it did not do well, so it really is a moot point. It got a 2. What did you get?
7.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I mean, its tendrils are trying to bat the bomb away, and the bomb comes to a stop like right underneath the bulb, though, despite their efforts. And in this case, oh, my camera froze. Turn it on. Beep. That help at all? In this case, yeah, I think that translates into additional shifts upon your weapon 6 hit, right? So it's a weapon 6 bomb, and you have 7 versus my 2, which means you're dealing 5 extra shifts, which means you're dealing 11 shifts. I am not wasting both. Yeah, even if I took a mild and a moderate consequence, that would only be -6. I would still have to take 5, and I don't have enough stress to take that. So the bomb explodes in a massive, like, and bits and pieces of the alien probe go flying everywhere. The rest of the Tesladyne crowd starts clapping appreciatively.
So actually,
Thank you.
Andrea, since you took it out, you can dictate, what happens to
Yeah.
the thing. Is it completely destroyed, or is it, it's basically maybe some pieces are recoverable or something?
Yeah. So I think for the most part, there's debris scattered everywhere. It's falling down over everyone. But there's an interior chunk that, just because of the way the bomb was placed, actually shot straight up and then comes right back down with a kerploop, right back in the middle of the crater.
With a kerploop.
Kerploop.
Totally. All right. So I mean, the rest of the Tesladyne group is probably looking to you to figure out what action should be taken next. What are you for doing?
Taking a bow.
And they're clapping.
Okay.
I would just ask out loud, have we investigated this enough?
Oh yeah, we were supposed to do that thing, weren't we?
Good job investigating so far.
Well, it did bring back a piece.
Nice. Okay. Let's tell you what. Quirt goes over to one of these. What kind of vehicles do they have? I guess like they get black SUVs or whatever.
Yeah, SUVs.
These Tesladyne guys.
Yep.
And goes over in one of these and opens up the back and starts looking through for various equipment and microscopes and centrifuges and various analysis stuff and go ahead. Kagape. So was it Kagape with the piece? Yeah. Quirt gestures to come over and figure out what this thing is. Actually, who has science? Atomic
Me.
Badger.
Yeah.
Uh,
Only by happenstance.
Quirt, I am.
So actually, what I'm going to do here is I want to call in, because I'm conscious of time, and I want to call in something that's actually one of the neat little things of Atomic Robo. This is an Atomic Robo specific mechanic. This is called brainstorms, because Atomic Robo is about action scientists trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and they're all scientists and they're smart. And maybe you guys aren't scientists, but still, you
I'm
can
not a scientist.
I am not a scientist. But you still know enough that you have experience with weird shit out there, so you can bring that knowledge in to try and figure out what's going on. So in a brainstorm, the PCs are going to spitball, make observations, run tests and or experiments in an attempt to formulate a workable hypothesis about a phenomenon. This can take a few minutes, days, or weeks. Depends on the context of the scene. The objective is to create a hypothesis, and because we're talking about highly trained and talented people working for Tesladyne, it's always true once you create a hypothesis. So whatever you explain, whatever your explanation is true in this case. Okay. So, ideally, a brainstorm begins when one player uses the leading phrase in the course of normal conversation role-playing. So, I mean, you wanted to start analyzing this thing and figure out what's going on, right, Quirt?
Yeah. And so I say, clearly, this thing was. Of course, I say this in a very reserved manner, but I get across the idea that this thing was man-made, and it was sent, in order to disguise its origins. It was sent out on a really far path to make it appear like it was coming from outer space somewhere, from somewhere else in the solar system, and it crash landed here. But it's clearly somebody on Earth behind this thing.
Cool. So actually, what you want to do at this point is actually you want to compel yourself into the brainstorm. So Quirt, you're starting off. You're the one who you can come up with an aspect and how you can compel yourself into taking an interest in this brainstorm.
Oh, right.
You cite a reason why you're getting involved. A lot of the time, this is supposed to be a science aspect, but basically any aspect that's appropriate, any reason you can come up with will work.
Cool.
So Quirt, with your explanation, what was the aspect you wanted to invoke or compel?
Let's go with. I've got a heart of gold, and basically I want to find out, what the purpose of this thing was. It's clearly dangerous. And,
yes.
So I want to find out. Clearly somebody had a reason for this, and they probably need a friend.
Cool. They probably need a friend.
Oh, that's cute.
So if anybody else wants to get involved with the brainstorm, you've just got to compel yourself into it. Pick an aspect and explain how it's getting you interested in this brainstorm.
I think that Kagape, during her studies, sees similarities between this and the Majestic 12 Super Soldier program. Maybe they're trying to build a better soldier, something that can adapt.
I like it. Yeah, that's cool. So you're interested because of the Majestic 12 technology, yeah.
Because I'm the top assassin. They can't make somebody better than me.
Nice. Okay, that's awesome. Who else? And by the way, these are compels. You get a fate point.
Hooray.
Sorry, go ahead, Andrea.
I just hurried.
I'll compel myself on Wielder of the Annihilax. I'll hold up the chunk of metal and kind of bounce it in my hand a little bit and say, this is the exact same material that the Annihilax was made out of.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like it. It's a good compel. And what about you, Badger?
I would. My science aspect is master of things that go boom. This thing didn't go boom till I got involved, so I won't compel that. I think I'll compel the ain't nothing like me except me, because Badger's never seen anything like this before, and that makes him very curious.
Oh, cool. I like it. He's interested in unique things.
Yeah.
Especially shiny things.
Sure. Okay, cool. So everybody gets a fate point for compelling yourself in. Okay, so next, all participants roll simultaneously to create an advantage using a relevant skill against a difficulty of good, +3. Each player can and is encouraged to use a different skill. but it will often be a science skill. Science skills are often the most appropriate, but in this case, you guys may not have a huge number of science skills. But so we're going to be like a little bit open in our interpretation. But it should cover something that you want to talk about more, something that sparks an idea. Okay, so what skill do you want to use? Let's Quirt.
Yeah, I have. I really do not have much sciencey stuff, but I do have vehicles, and I'm
Sure.
going to figure out what where this thing was launched from, and
Nice.
what kind of vehicle it took to get it where it was.
Nice, I like it.
Figure out where it came from. You know.
What about you, Arcrix?
I'm kind of feeling like discovering that this thing was made out of the same material as my axe has kind of fueled a slightly insane feeling of jealousy in me, because I felt like I was more unique before this encounter. So I'm going to roll my concept aspect.
This is what skill you want to roll.
Oh, what
So-
skill? Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. I got it. So I will roll. I'll roll tactics to try to figure out the best countermeasures against this thing.
Sweet.
I have tactics at a +3.
Sure. Kagape, what about you?
Sorry, I rolled it at a time.
It's okay. Everybody rolls simultaneously, so we'll just reveal results simultaneously.
Kagape is going to use Notice. While the Super Majestic 12 program was creating her, she studied every scientist that ever worked in the program, including those that are no longer part of the program, so she knows them better than pretty much anybody.
Sure.
Nice.
So this is okay. That's cool.
I
Yep.
can.
That might be contacts,
Oh yeah.
because it's about you like knowing the scientists, right?
It's about me studying their tendencies and knowing their tells.
Tell you what, I'll even play back the my recording. My
Okay.
I'll be right
decoded
back.
voice.
Okay, cool. So you can go ahead and notice. And what about you, Badger?
Oh, there are so many options. I think Badger is mostly interested in, I guess we'd call it maybe like the AI, the self-repairing mechanism.
Yeah.
And so,
You want to roll plus AI knowledge? You
Yeah.
have science as +2, which means you have every single science at +2.
yes. So if that's the appropriate science
Yeah.
knowledge, then yes.
Science is +2. Go for it. So everybody go ahead and roll. All at once.
Okay. I'm at a total of 1.
Yeah,
Have
I'm at a
two.
total of 1 as well. Can we spend a fate point to add 2 to that, or is it not that kind of roll?
You can. You can. What you're looking for is you're looking for a 3 or higher, and only the person who has the absolute highest is the one that is of critical importance.
I have a 7.
Holy moly.
All right. You got it.
All right. So Kagape, with your 7 with Notice, where you're relying on your knowledge of like the scientists from Majestic 12, you get to introduce a fact, and that means, and you get 1 victory, but I'll explain what that means later. So you get 1 victory, and you get to introduce a fact. It takes the form of a situation aspect, but it has to be clearly derived from the skill used to create it, clearly related to the situation, and stated as an objective fact, an observation of something in the scene, or a remembered bit of research, or some other piece of factual information that relates to the situation. It doesn't have to be previously established. It can be something new, but it can't be a hypothesis all on its own, and it can't be a personal opinion instead of a fact. Okay? So what is the fact that Kagape notices? Like, as you're all huddled around the equipment and you're studying this limb of the thing, and Kagape's hearing Quirt replaying the call from the bulb.
I noticed that when I'm studying the components that make up the creature, that there are extra components that don't seem to have any bearing. And when I'm making a list of them on paper, I notice that the first letter of each material spells out, when you rearrange them, spells out the name of the daughter of one of the scientists that used to work for the Majestic 12 program.
Sure. Cool.
All right.
So then that is the fact.
So the fact.
Each letter spells out the last name of the daughter who used to work for them, of the daughter of a scientist who used to work for Majestic 12. Is that what you're?
I'm thinking that his daughter died at some point while he was working for the program. And I
That's the
don't know
daughter's name.
how she died or.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just give that an actual name. So it spells out the daughter's name. So it spells out Amy.
I was thinking something a little bit longer.
Amy
No,
can
I-
have up to like 5 letters.
All right, let's do that.
AIMEE,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
the kind of spelling that invokes a little rage monster in me.
No.
Okay,
That's
cool.
the best part.
So that was your first fact and your first victory. So basically, we continue this a couple times. So now establish the second fact. It proceeds much like establishing the first. You pick a skill, simultaneously roll it, but the difficulty for the second roll is equal to the winning total for the first roll. So if the winner of the first roll got a +7, the difficulty for this one is a +7.
Oh my lord.
Sorry.
All right.
And this just goes on until we fail?
This goes on like 3 times, and you're trying to accrue some victories here. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. And you got a +7 versus the difficulty of 3, so you actually accrued 2 victories in the first one.
Oh,
The
nice.
number of victories you accrue will, at the end of this, determine your what you get to say as the hypothesis, the truth that you get to establish as a hypothesis. And so in this case, you also have this situation aspect, which is daughter, like Amy. I'm just going to say that is the situation aspect, Amy. Those letters, which was generated by the first one that you can invoke. So the only restriction on that is that you have to directly take that invoked aspect into account. You can't contradict or wildly diverge from what the invoked aspect is if you are using it in your role. Okay? So
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last thing you said? You broke up a little on my end.
Sure. So we have this aspect Amy from the first roll, right? And it is now an actual aspect that you can use. But if you use it, you have to directly relate things to it. You can't contradict it. You can't propose alternative hypotheses, or you can't go against it. You have to directly incorporate the Amy aspect into what you're saying this time. Part of this is supposed to be like you're spitballing back and forth and coming up with different ideas about what this possibly could be. So until we actually hit the hypothesis zone, then it's not 100% certain. So you can come up with something completely different and unrelated to Amy, like completely unrelated, if you want. But if you invoke Amy, you have to connect the Amy into it.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so I'm going to go back the other way. Badger, what skill are you using this time?
I will use metallurgy to try to identify the type of metal.
Cool. Like studying it under the equipment, yeah. Cool. What are you doing, Kagape?
I'm going to use burglary. I was going to try to sneak into places and find information, like maybe on this scientist. I'm following up that path.
So how is it burglary?
I'm going to steal the information on him. Like files Majestic 12 might have.
Okay. So this is you hacking on your computer as you're looking up information?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or actually just breaking into places and taking...
Well, because we're trying to keep this is you guys at the crater studying it right then and there,
right there,
like at the machine. Right. We're trying to keep this one relatively condensed.
I'll just use contacts and talk to the other employees that are there that might have...
Okay, cool. That works. I mean, it makes sense. Contacts. You have contacts at Majestic 12. Totally. What are you doing, Arcrix?
I'm going to try to bend the metal between my hands just to try to get a sense of like its density and its heaviness and stuff like that, which I think would be a physique roll.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
Or should I not?
No, I think that's cool. I think I'm okay with that. Go for it. And Court, what are you doing?
Man, I don't know. You know, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna do some science. I'm gonna study the not the pod itself, but some of the bits and pieces from the little robots it was creating, and also like it took some of my nanates, right? And I'm trying to figure out like studying the kinds of chemistry and the different elements that it was looking for and building stuff out of. So I'm doing chemistry. I don't actually have that skill, so do I just roll a +0 or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay, cool. Go ahead and roll. Everybody roll.
I see nothing. Nobody wants to talk to me. I'm covered with goo and parts of this thing.
Well, and also I imagine they're terrified of Kagabe. Ah!
I got a -1. So let's see, that's
So not so much.
3.
I rolled all 4 blanks, so I have a 5.
Okay. What about you, Badger?
I only have a 3.
Okay, so you need a 7.
Okay.
Because
Well,
the first roll was a 7.
I do have quite a lot of fate points that maybe I could. I don't really
You
have a
could
lot of
probably-
aspects
yes. Go ahead.
that. I don't have enough aspects really to that apply though, so I'll just leave it.
I would invoke trained in self-control. So like, as I'm trying to bend this thing, it doesn't really want to give itself up under my strength, but
Sure.
maybe I persevere at it, and am finally able to get a response from it.
Totally. Cool.
Okay.
You're self-controlled. So yeah, I mean, you're doing this like this perfectly scientific bending of the metal.
Yes. You can
so
tell
that-
it's scientific by the way the veins are popping out of my neck.
That puts you up to a 7. That puts you up to a 7. So that means you're going to get 1 victory, but you're going to get it at a cost. And I'm trying to think, yeah, what the cost is in this case.
Maybe I destroyed people accidentally.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is that this leg is now a dead end, right? Arcrix tests the metal and is able to figure out what it is, but in the process, basically ruins it by bending it and flexing it and breaking it. Yeah. So, what is the fact then that you're establishing, Arcrix?
So, I'm trying to think how to weave this in, but so I would say that maybe like in the course of my my martial training, when I was developing my unique skills with the Annihilax, that one of the technicians that was responsible for creating the Annihilax left the project very suddenly, and I had heard rumors that he had suffered a very severe family tragedy. So maybe that can play off of the Amy
Well, so wait, how is this connected to the way that you actually tested it and found this information?
Oh, that's a good point. So, gosh, I don't know. I'm kind of drawing a blank on that.
You just got to establish. I mean, it's just a fact, right? So it could just be anything about like your previous thing that you were thinking about was that it's of the same material as the Annihilax.
Right. Okay.
So I mean that worked fine.
Duplicate. Yeah.
Maybe that even tells us where the metal came from.
Sure.
Where this was created.
Sure. So what do you think? What is the fact?
So I think the fact is that this metal came from a now closed car factory in Detroit that was doing secret alloy experiments.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yes. Metal came from a now closed car factory in Detroit, doing secret experiments. They picked
Like they
the
do.
wrong city. Yeah, cool. And then we do one more. All right, so what are we doing this time? Let's see. I'm going to start in the middle. Arcrix, what are you going to try to figure out this time? The leg itself is snapped, so what do you propose this time?
I'm gonna look at one of the snapped. I guess did I like snap it in half, or what? How did I?
The metal piece that you were working on, you pretty much had to flex and mess with it a whole bunch to really figure out what kind of metal it is and all the properties enough that you could in any way assess where it came from. So for all intents and purposes, the metal has been stressed to the point of like near uselessness.
Okay. I guess I could try notice to. Well, I don't know.
It's cool.
Sorry, I'm kind of drawing a blank on this.
No, it's cool. I mean, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's fair to say that like we already have 2 facts established. You already have 3 victories. This is just the last round, so it's cool to drop out. It's fine.
Yeah. Do you have anything to offer here?
Yeah, Court, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna try one more thing. I'm gonna take a look at that video that we had of the thing crash landing.
Sure.
Try to figure out the why they were hiding or where they wanted us to think it was coming from, right? Like
Totally. Sure.
so I used I guess
Studying
that's
the video?
Notice. Yeah.
Notice, yeah. What about you, Kagapi?
I'm going to use stealth. She approached the other employees. Well, you will tell me about the scientist and his daughter and everything that you know, and they were frightened and didn't say anything. And then she hid in the snow near where they were going to be congregating and just listening to the conversations.
Wait. Again, we're still like at the truck at the crater at that site. The contact was you attempting to like maybe get information by contacting via radio people from Majestic 12.
Okay.
So how are you? Yeah, how are you using stealth?
I thought I was getting information from the
From the Tesladyne people?
I thought they might know.
Oh well, I mean, if you want to try and listen to the Tesladyne people, but Tesladyne is who you work for.
Right.
So Tesladyne probably, if they had info, would give it to you.
Okay. Never mind then. I won't go with that. Let's just go with contacts.
Okay.
I'm going to try to go like above their head.
And contact higher people in Tesladyne?
Yes. No, in the Majestic 12.
Oh, Majestic 12, okay.
My contacts with Majestic 12.
Sure. People who you knew specifically worked at this factory in Detroit?
Yep, sounds good.
And what about you, Badger?
Badger has as he's examining some of the metal, he found some bacteria. So he's going to use...
Microbiology.
It's biology. Yeah, I can't remember the actual name of it, but basically trying to find out how long this thing has been in space.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. Exobiology, something like that. Sure.
Something.
Go ahead and roll. Everybody roll.
Well, I'm sitting this round out.
And you're still looking for a 7.
Got nothing, man.
0 here too.
So that means Badger, you're at a 2, right? Because your science is a 2.
No, it's a 0 total.
Oh, you got a
Oh,
minus.
my dice aren't showing up.
Wow.
I got minus. Yeah.
Okay.
I only have a 2 total.
Yeah. So unless you guys want to spend a bunch of fate points and pop it up, that's not going to work out this time.
I think we have enough to. We know the ship was sent out to look like. Well,
Sure.
we're thinking that it actually came from Earth. The metal Arcturus is recognizing.
Yep.
And he has an idea where it came from, and I know the scientist, so I think we have enough to pursue.
Yeah, so this is the final thing. It says, if the team racks up at least 3 victories, which you did, everyone rolls one last time. There's no difficulty number. All you care about is who has the highest total. Whoever wins this final roll gets to come up with a hypothesis that dictates what's actually going on. This becomes the truth of the situation. The hypothesis must take into account and build on its facts already generated during the brainstorm.
Okay.
Excuse me. Cool. So let's just for speed's sake, everybody just go ahead and roll, and whoever has the highest total result on the fate dice will go ahead.
2.
0.
Minus 3.
I also got 2, but you guys can go ahead.
All right, so Arcrix, you want to come up with the hypothesis to synthesize it all, which will then become an aspect that is then like you'll get free invocations on it.
Yeah, and I think you guys are probably going to have to help me along with the narrative of this idea. But what I'm thinking is that someone who had access to the equipment and materials that were used to manufacture the original Annihilax has upgraded the process and is using it to make the kind of artificial intelligences. It's obviously something they're doing because they're bent on world domination, and they're doing it out of Detroit.
Okay.
So that's
putting that
So
together.
Is it this the lead scientist is the one with the
daughter.
daughter's Amy?
daughter.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he's someone who would have been involved with Tesladyne at some point,
Sure.
but who is no longer.
So the idea is that this lead scientist, father of Amy, is putting together an AI that's going to produce improved forms of the Annihilax.
Oh, we'll use the Annihilax technology to make like a robot army.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Use the Annihilax technology to make a robot army. Sure. Yeah. So I'm going to say the hypothesis then: Amy father makes robot army with Annihilax tech,
That's a very concise distillation.
and then that's the hypothesis.
I think it could have just been revenge.
Cool.
Okay.
I mean, so you guys are finishing up your studies, and like you come together with this moment of, oh yes, and that's what it is. And that's when one of your news channels starts, like one of your comms pieces or something starts buzzing in your ear.
Quirt, I am.
We need all Tesladyne employees to report to the vicinity of Detroit. Post haste. It would appear that there is a robot army marching through the streets. I repeat, it appears that there is a robot army marching through the streets of Detroit.
I've
Court
never
I am.
Detroit, but from what I've heard, it wouldn't make much of a difference.
Yeah, it's finally,
I say we leave it to the robots.
finally coming back to life. Okay.
So what do you do?
So I'm going to run back to my pod. Or maybe we figure out transportation from the site, I guess.
I think we should hide. Well, no, we can't because we're like in Russia. Yeah, so we're going to have to
No, we
get back ASAP.
Quirt gets into the he actually at the back of this van where we have the SUV where we have the back door open.
Yeah, at the lab. Yeah.
Quirt just flows up into the driver's seat and says, "Quirt I am," and everybody piles in and step on it. We're gonna drive to the nearest airport.
I was gonna say you're gonna drive from Russia to Detroit.
Drive to the nearest airport at 100 miles an hour, or
Sure.
as fast as this thing will go, and we'll get on the comms and have Tesladyne send us a airplane. Have an airplane meet us there.
Super sciencey airplane.
A
Yeah.
super sciencey airplane. Yeah. I'm just looking quickly, but I may just let it slide. Oh, okay. Here we go. Transport.
Oh, I have vehicles 1. I can drive.
Yeah.
I'm taking over this super sciencey plane.
Sure. So you need a super science plane.
Probably a rocket that just barely reaches outer atmosphere, and then.
I'm not gonna. There are some rules in there for how to requisition equipment and how exactly all that would work. Getting equipment from Tesladyne. I'm not gonna worry too much about it for time. Yeah, you guys get to the airport and there's a Tesladyne experimental engine waiting for you, jet engine. It is completely untested and highly dangerous, but hypothetically it will get you there faster than you could possibly. Any other plane on the planet will get you there without actually, hopefully, leaving an enormous trail of devastation and burnt atmosphere behind it. We hope. So, who's gonna pilot this thing?
Don't they have a pilot for it?
No, because no Tesladyne pilot is brave enough.
Oh, poor
Basically, you
Tesla.
put in the call, and you got to the airport, and they're like, "Yeah, we flew this here on a cargo jet because no one will fly it."
I have vehicles 3. I'll take a whack if I can cram into the cockpit.
All right,
Great.
sure. So
Do it.
Arcrix is squeezed into the little bubble of the cockpit. His axe right behind him. Everybody is buckled down into their own seat, and
Yeah.
Arcrix throws the switch. You all die. Thanks for playing.
What
Ooh.
is TPK?
So Arcrix, go ahead and roll. You're going to be trying to overcome. I think it's going to be a good difficulty, and specifically, this is about not only getting there in speed, but it's about getting exactly pinpointed to that factory location from which the robots are coming, as opposed to getting stuck in the streets of Detroit with robots.
Right.
So go ahead and roll vehicles versus a +3.
Okay. So I got +4.
Okay.
We should bring some parachutes.
Oh, did you get a total of a +4? Or did you roll 4 pluses?
No, it's a total of 4. Sorry.
Okay. All right. No, that's fine. That's fine. I was like, holy shit, did you just get a 7?
So Arcrix,
Yeah, totally.
I in the back, and everybody's strapped in into their seats, and Quirt is he puts on the seatbelt, and it just melts right through him. So he's trying to hold on, and then he hits the accelerator and just gets flattened against the seat.
That's awesome.
Bits of him
And
are
I'm
drooping
definitely
back.
putting the vehicle through its paces. I'm doing barrel rolls and loop-to-loop and stuff.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily.
Yeah. Large
I love
parts
it.
of Quirt end up, kind of splattered around.
Oh,
there's
that's
some
disgusting.
there's some quirt in your hair, Badger.
Oh no!
I
I hate
think
getting
I'm the
quirt in
only
my
one that
hair.
the seatbelt will actually work on.
Yeah,
Right.
Quirt, keep
Like
yourself
a-
together.
I need a bucket or something.
Yeah.
So you get there like in record time. This jet, I mean, it's a testament to your hardiness, really, that the four of you do not totally black out at the sheer speeds you're traveling. But I mean, you get to Detroit, and you're in the skies over Detroit, and as you're trying to cool down and brake. But I'm actually going to go ahead and, this is a vehicle, and most items in this game, the way it works is they have a function aspect and they have a flaw aspect. So I'm going to go ahead and invoke the flaw aspect of experimental terrifying jet plane, and I will not invoke it, compel it, and I will give each of you a fate point as like you're trying to decelerate, and it won't. The plane will not stop. So it's your call. You've gotten here before, you've gotten here, the robots are not yet in total occupying mode of Detroit. There's streets you can try and navigate to get to the factory if you wanted to try and get down into the streets, or you could try to dive out right over the factory and land there. And you've gotten here, so I mean, you can get straight to the factory, but this jet is not going to stop. You can't break it. That's my compel. And
I actually,
yeah.
Oh, we can
I'll-
break it.
yeah, I want to compel Arcrix, his aspect, axe-wielding alien maniac, and say that he just, he realizes that he can't stop the plane, so he's gonna take the axe, cut his way out of the cockpit, and jump out down to the factory, leaving us behind. Right. So you get.
If you accept that compel. So first of all, does everybody accept the ship won't break compel?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody gets a fate point for that. Then Aaron is proposing this, so Aaron spends a fate point to propose the compel.
Yep.
But Arcrix, you can choose to accept or refuse. So do you accept the compel or not?
So, accepting that compel would land me in downtown Detroit, or would land me at the factory?
No, at the factory.
At the factory, but it would also be you cutting open the jet and hurtling out of it at enormous speeds.
Yeah, as long as it gets me to the factory, I'm in.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
Perfect. All right, so you accept that compel, you get a fate point, and you guys in the back are watching in horrified terror as Arcrix picks up the Annihilax, cuts open the cockpit, and leaps out of the jet.
I'll see you guys on the ground.
Well, I believe he did say he could fly. Nothing about landing.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Oh my God, how am I going to get out of this one?
Yeah, so let's quickly find out what the people on the plane are doing before we find out whether Arcrix went splat.
I'm putting my parachute on.
Yeah, they have parachutes on this one. They need parachutes on this one.
Yeah.
I think Badger's first instinct is, because Quirt can obviously drive a car, he can obviously pilot a plane. So, his first instinct is, as he's trying to get the seatbelt off, he's like, Quirt, get yourself together and get up in the pilot's seat.
I'd
Alright.
like to go
Here's-
You don't have to.
I've got it. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'll get up. I'll slither up to the pilot seat, but then I'll actually go out the axe hole, and out onto the exterior of the plane, and sort of wrap the front to and then start freezing myself. So I'm basically gonna cushion the impact when this plane hits, and I'm gonna kind of guide it down, guide it downwards, not really slowing it down, but just getting it so we crash closer.
You're going to try and aim it close to the factory.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then cushion the impact for everybody else.
Well, actually, that's a fair thing. You're not controlling the plane. You're cushioning the impact.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right. So how I'd probably do that is this plane slamming into the ground and exploding in a horrible, horrible ball of fire. I'd probably treat that as like that's going to be a 6 stress hit on everybody in the plane. So Quart, if you want to roll your shapeshifting, you can reduce that 6 stress hit by creating essentially a boundary, a block. But it's still... I'm wondering if that should count to block it for you. Yeah, sure. So go ahead and roll your shapeshifting, Quart.
Okay. Total of 7 right now. So we're good.
Nice.
Boom.
Okay, so Quart is forming this ice barrier on the plane so that when it hits, like the plane is actually going to mostly hit the ice. The ice is going to shatter, but that should help slow the play down enough that you all won't die. However, Quart.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I actually have this this stunt go through condensation, so I can spend a fate point to reduce one of my consequences. So, like, I'm cool even taking a consequence or whatever.
Sure.
Take some stress and a consequence, and then I'll just spend a fate point, and I get smashed and split into smithereens and stuff, and kind of pull myself together, and then it's nice and humid in Detroit.
Cool.
So over the next few minutes, as we're like trying to make our way back to the factory, I'm
You're gonna put yourself back together.
sucking water vapor into my body.
Sure.
To replace it. Cool.
Yeah, cool. So you're gonna take a 6 stress hit then, stopping the plane for everybody else, but nobody else is gonna take any stress.
Yep.
Is that fair?
And I actually have 4 stress boxes, so I can take 4 for my stress track, and then a 2-hit consequence, and then the fate point heals that up.
We'll heal that up immediately. Cool. So yeah, I mean, the plane comes down near the factory. Quart gets shattered. Quart's icy form gets shattered, and you watch the blob like splat along the ground. But then he starts reforming himself up outside the plane.
Okay. So let's and we're just gonna try to get there and get past these robots and get back to Arcrix.
Yeah. So let's see what Arcrix is doing. Arcrix, you went hurtling out of the plane.
Yes.
So I'm going to say it's similarly going to be like a 6 stress hit for you right now, hurtling through the air as you are straight down towards the factory.
Okay. So, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, as I approach the factory, I'm going to try to create an advantage by sinking, just like using kind of a controlled hit to sink the tip of the axe blade into one of the outer walls of the factory, and using that momentum to slow my fall.
Sure.
So I'm kind of like I have my axe like sunk into the wall, and I'm like it's grinding down the wall. It's slowing me up, and then
so you're trying. Yeah. Okay. You're trying to absorb the hit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I get closer to the ground, I would just kind of try to jump free of the wall.
Totally. Now, since I'm thinking to myself, since this is like you are trying to save yourself, yeah, go ahead and roll with physique. This is about you using your strength with the axe embedded in the wall of the building to slow yourself down. So in some ways, you're defending against this hit.
Got it.
However, this is, much chancier than what Quart did, because Quart was willing to completely sacrifice himself, and you're trying to like save yourself. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll fate for the that was a mistake, for the 6. So I have a total of a 4. And what did you get?
Let's see. I have a 3.
3 total?
3 total. Yep. So I rolled my.
Right, and you actually have armor 1 for your thick skin.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead, though. I'm not going to let that stand. I'm going to go ahead and spend one of my fate points. I have 4 fate points again, because it's a new scene. So I'm going to spend one of those 4 to invoke... Yeah. Actually, I kind of like this. You're cutting through the wall of this building, trying to use it to slow yourself down, when it's actually like your blade, it's really hard to find purchase with your axe. You're having a really hard time because you suddenly realize that the building is made out of the same material as your axe.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going to invoke that aspect. Building made out of a Nihilax material.
Oh.
That's where all the money in Detroit went. They built this one building, and then that was it.
Right.
So now I'm up to a, 6 hit versus your 3. Yeah.
So I'm thinking. So if I can I spend 2 fate points on the same invocation of an aspect?
No, you need 2 different aspects to spend 2 fate points. You could invoke 2 different aspects and get +4, but you need 2 different aspects.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I guess they're kind of related. So I would spend 2 fate points, 1 each on wielder of the Annihilax, and 1 and trained in self-control, just to kind of keep my wits about me as I'm having trouble pushing the blade through the wall, just to kind of like not to panic at first when it doesn't slow me down, just to kind of keep my head calm and just keep pressing in and just really
find those spots.
And just riding the snake all the way down if I have to. But
yeah, cool. So that boosts your roll up +4. So excuse me. So you should be at a 7 right now versus my 6. Yeah, cool. I'm good with it. So your feet touch down on the ground after having scraped down this entire wall, and there is like a series of scratches and rifts all up and down the wall now from where you cut into it with your axe. But you touch down relatively intact, actually, without really having hurt yourself because you slowed down on the wall. Yeah.
Sweet.
And just as soon as you touch down, the wall in front of you actually starts to open up. It's the warehouse. It was one of the giant doors to the warehouse, and it starts pulling open. And inside, you just see lots of that glow of all of these bulbs, just like the one that landed in Russia. Okay. You see a whole room full of them, all of them glowing at you.
Sweet.
So cutting quickly to the other team, you guys came down in the plane, and Quart pulled himself together using the humidity in the air. You're not too far away from the factory. So what are you guys doing?
I'm taking off my parachute. Well, I think Arcryx has a head start in us. Perhaps we should try to catch up. Otherwise, there will be nothing left for us to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you okay, Quirt?
Quirt, I am.
Oh, Quirt, you're the man, or the water thing, or whatever it is you are. Quirt, you're the Quart.
Quart, you're the Quart.
You're the Quirtiest.
So the 3 of you take off towards the factory.
I kind of like to slip off and scout and make sure we're not heading into an ambush.
Sure. Yeah. So it's your call. One of the things is that on your way to the factory, there are some of these robots still on the streets. You got here relatively quickly, so they're not filling the streets. Like I said, there are paths you can find back to the factory. It is your call whether you want to slip off and find your own path, or make sure you're not going into an ambush, or whether you want to try and lead Quart and Badger into the warehouse.
I guess I would like to find a way where we can avoid all the robots, so we don't get all the way through.
I buy that. So basically, this is then going to be. I think you're looking for stealth. You're finding a stealthy path for you to follow versus the robots and notice.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I just thought of my Omega aspect.
Sure, what is it?
There's only one Annihilax.
there's only one Annihilax. Excuse me. Okay, cool. And you get a fate point for filling that in.
I'm feeling very jealous and insecure with all this other
All this material.
metal alloy floating around.
I got a +4 total.
+4 total. So I got a +3 total. So you find your path. There are a few close calls as you're navigating down the streets of Detroit, where like swarms of those little robots that come out of the bulbs like pass by, but you're able to navigate your way. Excuse me. And you're arriving at the factory, seeing as the doors are opening wide, and you see the tableau of Arcrix standing right before the doors with all the glow of the many bulb robots inside. And then beyond that, Arcrix, now you're standing up front, and you see, like, on a platform inside the factory, a man who's dancing between different control panels left and right, and like tapping away at buttons and commands. You faintly hear him muttering to himself over the sound of all of these robots, like chittering, and their defensive tendrils unrolling. So what are you doing, Arcrix? You're in front. The robots do not currently seem to be moving at you.
Okay. Let's see.
Remember, Badger. They go towards sound.
Try to be quiet.
Let me see. What do I do? I mean, I think I'm going to throw tactics to the wind and just charge in there and just start trying to destroy everything in front of me.
That's kind of hilarious, too. I love this moment where, like, behind it, Kagape led Squirt and Badger in completely stealthily, and they're in an alley, and so they're, like, completely unseen. And you know, Quirt just turned to Badger and was like, remember, they follow sound. And then Arcrix just screams. and That's awesome. That's awesome. All right.
Well, I don't think they'll hear us now.
Yeah, I'd say you guys could do whatever you want without having to worry about the robots coming after you specifically.
Sure. So, Arcrix, if you're just going to charge in, why don't you go ahead and I'll let you get in the first combat roll because they weren't doing anything, and then we're going to go ahead and start a conflict.
Okay.
I'm going to try to do it quick.
But by the way,
Yeah.
quick, Arcrix for charging in like a maniac.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's
That's a good point.
You should definitely earn a fate point for that because
Yeah.
you're playing to your
aspects.
So, and it's
Sure.
somebody could have compelled you to do that, so you can actually compel yourself.
Yep.
When, do something.
I buy that. So go ahead and take a fate point.
Taken.
All right.
And let's do.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try to start cutting things in half. That's -1, so that gives me a 4. I don't think I've been plus on any of my rolls today.
These dice, they have betrayed you.
Yes.
All right, so you have a total of a 4, right? So they were surprised because the doors were opening and he was about to dispatch them, but the guy who's controlling them wasn't paying attention, and they focus on sound, and you didn't make sound until you started charging in. Actually, no, but it was a compel, so they would have known, actually. But the first one got a -2 on the roll, so got a total of a 1, and you got a 4, which means, yeah, right now you're dealing, what, 7 stress to it?
How do I determine that? Sorry.
So you deal damage based on the difference between your attack and their defense, which is
Plus
3.
your weapon.
But if you hit it all, you also add your weapon.
Okay. Well,
And you
that's
have a weapon. Yeah.
my weapon. I have weapon 2.
Oh, you have a
So
weapon
that would
too.
be
Okay.
5.
So you 2, yeah. So it'd be 5 stress for this first bulb right in front of you, and I think that I will actually go ahead and. Whoop. Not gonna be this easy this time. I'm gonna go ahead and spend 2 fate points and invoke its defense tendrils and regenerative tech. Your axe leaps forward and cuts into it, but its tendrils are wrapping around the axe, pushing it away, and the wound you cut is immediately closing. So right now it's at a 5, and you're at a 5. So right now you would be dealing your 2 stress for your weapon.
Okay. All right. I'll take that for right now.
Cool. All right, so it just checks off a 2 stress box. All right, Kagape, you always go first in a conflict. Go ahead.
I'm going to try to create an advantage using stealth.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing?
I'd like to find another way in.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Window where we can approach him.
Yeah, okay.
Get some free shots, hopefully.
I'm cool with that. Go ahead and roll plus stealth, and I think you're going to be rolling versus the robots noticing you, right?
Okay.
Go ahead. They got a 4.
I'm trying to create advantage here. Alright, so I got +1 on my roll, +4 from the roll, and I get +2 because of stab from the dark. So that's a 7 total for me.
What is stab from the dark? Oh, interesting. When setting up an ambush, you get +2 to create advantages using stealth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, okay. So you have a 7. I got a total of a 4, which means you succeed with style. I'm cool with that. So, what do you think you find?
I think we find... Okay, he's using machine to create this, to create the robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we find the weak spot on the machine.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You should. Oh, okay. You should totally find a way in that's like.
Yeah,
I
that
don't know,
comes
like
right down on the
through
machine.
Ceiling or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way in through skylight onto machine. I like it. Way in through skylight onto machine.
And I've actually pass it to me. Pass it to me.
Okay. I will pass it.
So
Of course, he's anxious to do something.
I've got a great follow-up. So I'm going to follow you up onto the roof of this thing. And
Sure.
We just see the camera shows like it's in this dark factory with all these like glowing bulbs all over the place. And way over there, the doors are open, and Arcrix is like swinging his axe and battling it out with these one of these bulbs and stuff. And you just see like in the foreground just the drip, and the small puddle forming among the machines.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly this flood, whoosh, and I'm gonna try to coat as much area of the floor as possible and basically freeze these guys in place. So I'm creating advantage with my
Sure.
shape-shifting.
Sure. That sounds good to me. I'm going to be rolling their athletics against you.
Okay.
Ooh, I did good.
Ooh, let's see.
Now, you're coming in through the skylight, though, so you can... There are 2 free invokes on way in through skylight.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Right now I have 4. I'll just use one of the invokes for a total of 6.
You only have a 4? Really?
What do you have right now?
I was looking at the wrong numbers. I'm sorry. You have a 4. I have a total of a 5. So you use one of those invokes, and you're going to get a 6. Is that what you want?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good. And
Cool.
the aspect I'll create is I'm gonna say frozen in place.
Frozen in place. Cool. And that has 1 free invoke.
Yep.
All right, who are you passing it to, Court?
Oh, now let's go. Let's do the badger. Do
Yes.
that badger.
Yay!
And remember, you can use my thing for like
And
+3 instead of +2.
Yep. Which I think I'm going to do. But because it's Badger, I feel like I just need to say we're going to need a bigger bomb. And then, and then I think I'd like to use the weird connection stunt to invoke the advantage created by Quirt.
Sure.
So that gives me a +3 off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Can I
But you
use
can
as many
always-
stunts as I like, or am I limited?
No, I mean they cost like fate points, but if they apply, they apply.
Yep.
Okay.
You can always also, before you spend the free invokes and stuff, you can always roll the dice first and see if you need to.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
That's also true. Yes.
Yeah, I've been rolling. I probably
If
will.
you're, if you're
Oh,
going
yeah,
to be
yeah,
attacking,
definitely.
if you're going to attack anyway, you probably want to get as much damage as you can, but you can always check it out and see.
You can always see first.
Right. Okay, so I am
So what are you
roll-
actually doing? Like, are you shooting at the robots?
Yes.
Got it.
With
Like
my
the bulby robots.
with my big honking gun.
All
Which
right.
fires the biggest bullets.
It fires the biggest bullets.
And I guess I'll go full auto because I have plenty of fate points to spare. Okay, let me
All right.
do the math. Math is so hard. So 5,
So
6.
are you up on the roof as well? And like
Oh yeah, yeah.
skylight?
Yep.
Sweet.
So I'd be using that. I have to do the math all over again. 5, 6,
What is the math that you're doing?
9, 10. I'm counting on my fingers. Fingers. And minus
Adding-
2
adding up all the
is
invokes.
8. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for interpreting crazy Andrea speak. I think I left something out. So I have 5 combat, 5, 6,
Mhm.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 minus 2 is 11.
Wow.
So you roll the -2.
Mm-hmm.
You have the 5 skill. You have the +3 for your invoking quartz frozen in place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying. I want to know
Plus-
because these details matter for like what
Plus
you're
2
actually
for the
doing.
skylight.
+2 for the skylight.
And then I
So
had
that-
also another +1 on my roll.
Okay. And you actually get. Wait, where's that other +1?
On my roll. I rolled 2 minuses
Oh.
and a plus.
Oh, okay. Got it. Excuse me. So 4, 7, 9. Wait. Yes, 4, 7, 9, and then the +2 for your built to shoot. So that puts you at 11. And your weapon is either a weapon 4 or a weapon 6 with a minor cost. Your call.
Let's do weapon 4 for right now.
You sure?
No. Oh hell, let's just go 6.
Damn right.
I do like to shoot big guns.
And you spent a fate point for the full auto, right?
Correct.
Okay. Cool. So you have an 11, and you're doing a weapon 6. Did I actually roll? I don't think I did. This is for the group of them, and I'm just going to roll once for the whole group. So I got a 2. That stinks.
Cool.
I'm
Let's
like-
go. What are they trying to do?
I mean, they're trying to probably break free of the ice and like get out of the way of the barrage of fire that this frickin' badger is unleashing on them from above. It's not working too well, unfortunately.
Teamwork.
God. Yeah, teamwork. No kidding. Yeah, Jeebus. All right. So right now they're going to be taking, what is that, a 9/15 stress hit? So if I took every consequence on every single one, then I could mark their third stress box and it'd still be okay. I think for the sake of time, there's this scream and roar of fire from above as Badger just unleashes this enormous torrent of bullets screaming downwards, and the frozen robots are getting stricken, and faster than they can regenerate, they get torn apart. So, I mean,
Now-
this warehouse, what was it? What's up?
There is a minor cost as well.
There was, yeah, which
Yeah.
is that the gun runs out of ammo. Like, I'm imagining that this is that equivalent of, if I run out of ammo, I want to be clear, I'm envisioning, like, Badger has ammo belts that you're just automatically feeding into it, and by the time that it's all said and done, every single one of your ammo belts is depleted. And it's that moment, if you've ever seen Tremors, where, like, Bert says, I ran out of ammo. That's never happened to me before.
And they're just casings surrounding him. There's like piled up.
Yes, there's like a pile of casings as big as Badger around Badger.
Yes.
Oh man.
So the guy who is standing atop the control platform and hitting buttons has totally stopped moving after this entire display, and all of his robots are like smashed around him. Arcrix, you're standing on the ground. Probably closest to him. The rest of them are on the roof still. So actually, Badger, you have to pass it to somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to pass it to him?
Is this a new round?
No, same round.
Same round. You took out, I'm willing to
already
say
go?
you took out the robots before he did anything, but no, he hasn't done anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then take it away.
Yeah, he
I'm
runs.
later.
He runs like crazy. He just goes running along the
Okay,
platform.
I'm gonna
Oh,
I'm
hold on, hold
going
on.
to. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, he bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and roll for his athletics. And basically what this is going to be is like for you to catch up to him is going to be an overcome roll versus what I roll here. Okay, so I got a total of a 4 right now because he's a scientist. He doesn't have terribly good athletics. But I'm going to go ahead and spend one of my giant reserve of fate points that I didn't tap into nearly enough to invoke his Amy deserves her revenge aspect. So I'm going to boost him up to a 6, and then I'm going to go ahead and spend another fate point. I mean, so the point is, like, he's not going to let himself get caught. He's not going to let himself get taken down because his daughter deserves her revenge. He has to survive this so he can get her revenge another day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and invoke another aspect on him. And I think that one is... Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. Like, I want it to be momentary escape turrets. He has these tiny little turrets, and he pulls them out of his pockets and he drops them, and they're dinky, and they let out just a spray of bullets, barely any accuracy, but it's enough to give him that like moment so he can slip out. So I'm going to spend another fate point on that, and now he's up to a total of an 8. All right.
Okay.
And so then, I mean, I'm going to treat that as all at once, right? But, like, I'll take his action now, and I think I would take his action at the top of the round, but he's just going to keep running.
Well, actually, Arcrix, you have to pass to Arcrix.
Oh, you're right. Arcrix hasn't gone, so Arcrix, I pass it to you. Arcrix, yeah, you've got to beat an 8 to catch up to him.
Okay. So I'm thinking rather than try to catch up to him, I'm going to try to bury the Annihilax in his back as he runs away. I'm going to throw.
Oh.
Yes.
Because you're an axe-wielding murderous maniac.
Yes.
Oh no! Don't kill him.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like it's a compel of axe-wielding maniac. You're going to kill him.
All right, let's kill him then.
Or either that, or maybe not axe-wielding alien maniac, but capital
So-
A Annihilator.
Yeah, true.
Well, it is self-control.
Well, since I think the aspect I use is I'm triggering the Annihilax stunt, which is where the thing about throwing the Annihilax is listed under.
Excellent.
So
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and roll that. Then that's listed as having 3 benefits, by the way.
Yeah, that just means that that stunt is worth 3 stunts. Don't worry about it.
Gotcha. Okay, so I got -1, so that's a 4.
So it's a 4. Okay,
But I'd like to do a couple of invokes.
sure.
I think most of what I have is.
You get to see his roll first. As
Yeah.
well, so go ahead and roll
Yeah.
for him.
I thought
Well,
he
I mean, I'm tempted just to treat his +8. I'm running the hell away as that is
That's
basically his defense.
That makes sense.
So I think that's what I'm going to do. His +8, I'm running the hell away as his defense.
So I'm going to invoke two aspects again. The first one is the capital A Annihilator, which is this guy seems to be
Sure.
the head villain in charge around here, so he's the one that we obviously need to take care of.
Of course.
And I'm also going to invoke there's only one Annihilax as the I've identified this guy as the source of my insecurities.
right.
That would probably explain why I'm just going to murder him in cold blood rather than try to just take him down.
So that's going to bring you up to, if you invoke those two, that's bringing you up to an 8, right?
Yep.
Cool. That means that...
Yeah.
What's up?
You just get your weapon value.
Right, so you're going to do 4 stress to him.
Yep.
Which probably means that he would actually, in this case, take like a mild consequence and then mark 2 stress. So what mild consequence do you inflict on him?
He's got an axe hanging out of his back. That's probably not too minor.
Axe wound.
Slowed.
Yeah, so the axe grazes his back and it's enough to slow him down a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So Arcrix, you pass it to somebody else at the top of the next round. He's still trying to get out of there.
Okay. I'm going to pass it back to. I'm going to pass it over to Kagape.
Okay, Kagape, what are you doing?
I'm still on the roof,
Yeah.
so I can avoid all those mess. I'm just going to run across to where he was going. That way I don't have to go through all the tangle of destroyed robots, etc. And I'm going to jump down on top of him. That's my aim, at least.
Okay. And you just want to pin him to the ground?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I think this is going to be athletics versus athletics.
Okay.
I got a 4.
I rolled. I hit roll. Let's try this again. Alright, well, it's not up here. Can somebody just roll for me?
Sure. I got a 4 total. And I got, for you, minus plus. So -1 total.
Alright. Well, I have a 5 in athletics.
So yeah.
That'll be a 4.
So unless you want to spend or invoke something quickly.
Let's see. Top Assassin. Oh, no, that's Intrigue. Empowered by the Might of the Knows.
And you have a fate point for that?
Yep.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. This is a point where being absolutely stronger than any human would.
Oh, that's a good point.
Come
Yes,
to
being
play.
absolutely stronger, or no, yeah, you're right. Being absolutely stronger or faster at a cost, but you're absolutely right. You are both. We shouldn't have
So
even rolled.
That's another option. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely forgot. You are absolutely stronger and absolutely faster than a normal human, so you can totally just catch up to him. He's a normal human,
Okay. Well, then I will do that.
but it's going to be at a cost. Is that cool?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. So what is the cost?
I have an idea.
Sure. What do you got?
I was running along the roof, but I'm running so fast I'm breaking pieces of the roof tiling off, and they're falling down below.
Sure.
So it's going to be harder for other people to catch
Yeah.
up now because there's all this debris in the way.
Sure. Okay. But you catch up to him and you bring him down as you drop down on top of excuse me.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, in which case, I'm partially doing this because of time. But yeah, I mean, Kagape has landed right on top of him and brings him down, like knocks him to the ground and knocks the wind out of him. What are you doing now?
Well, if I can still do something, I will just try to pin his arms down.
Yeah.
All right. And
We're out of a conflict at this point. So like the guy was just trying to run.
Oh yeah. So we got him. All right.
Yep.
I Quirt will go over and I'm going to go and speak to him by try to calm him down and say,
Mhm.
you're under arrest by the Sentinels of the Stars. But don't worry, because we will treat you with kindness, and we understand why you do this.
Oh, that's perfect. You wanted to try to use rapport?
Yeah. So I can actually have a stunt where I can use rapport to attack when showing charity, generosity, or kindness. So I guess
Sure.
I'll attack his mental stress track
Yeah,
to get him just to give in and like admit his guilt and expedite the trial and et cetera, et cetera.
sure.
If that makes sense.
Go ahead.
So
I got a total of a 2.
poor skills.
Just break them down, Court.
5 total. I'm gonna end this quickly by spending some fate points on Quirt I am and my Omega Aspect Sentinel of the Stars, because I've got
Nice.
the authority to do this.
Nice, nice. So
So,
you have a total of a 9, right?
5, yeah, 9.
Okay, yeah. He has a total of a 2. So you're beating him by 7. Yeah, I mean, I'll just go ahead and take that, because he took a mild consequence previously, and he marked his second stress box. Oh, but that was for physical. So we'd have more stress boxes for mental. But
Yeah.
he takes it. He'll be taken out.
Well, tell you what.
What happened?
Oh, okay. Well, even if he survives, he could then, give in.
Sure.
And
And get a fate point,
basically,
basically.
at any point in a conflict, you can choose to give in. In
Right,
which case
and you can
you lose.
get a fate
It's definitely a loss, but it's on your terms, and you can figure out.
Right.
Maybe you get away, or maybe something else happens. You get a say in what happens.
Right.
Conversely, if you wait and get taken out, then the opponent, it's just totally up to them. You get no say in it.
Yeah, so he's going to get taken out.
Okay, so I will. In that case, he will have to. He'll plead guilty, basically, to the.
To what he did.
Yeah, and he'll come clean and explain what his plan was.
Yeah.
Oh, and he'll tell us how we can clean up the rest of these robots that are running around Detroit.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and he tells you it's a passcode that's based on his daughter's name, passed through some cipher that will shut down the robots. His plan with the probe sent to Russia was actually just to create enough panic and distract a lot of the planet's strongest defensive agencies so that they wouldn't be paying attention to Detroit when he actually unleashed a robot army. But when that didn't go well, it sent off a distress signal, and he engaged his plan against Detroit faster.
Yeah.
He knew they would send me to Russia.
Yes, yes, he did. The terrifying Kagape.
Yeah.
All right.
Almost got away with it too if it wasn't for that.
If it wasn't for the meddling sentinels.
Supersonic jet. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you very much for playing. That was great.
that's awesome.
Good game, Brendan.
You're very welcome. I hope that was fun.
Cool. All right.
Thank you, anybody who watched.
So, by the way, this was, of course, Games in the Bar, an Indie Plus game night event. We do this every month. If you want to play, different games every month. There's a lot of other Indie Plus cool events going on, like Gaming as Other panels, and we do exhibition games as well, where the designer of a game will come and show it off, and various fun things. So check it out at indieplus.org, or check us, Indie Plus on Google Plus. And if y'all want to stick around real quick, we can do a little wrap up after the session. But thanks everybody. Thanks Andrea, Dwayne, Gabe, and Brendan for running it. I'm Aaron Field. See you next time.
Bye.